Chapter 772. Divine Array Spirit. 1. Boom. A destructive explosion sounded as if the world was about to be destroyed. A dazzling light shone from the top Divine Array, and the dazzling light bombarded the Lawless Destruction Array. The AoTian Destruction Formation began to shake as if it was about to be destroyed at any moment. Wu Jia's formation had been attacking the AoTian Destruction Formation, and its power was being worn down. Now that it was being attacked by Lu Haotian's formation, it could not hold on any longer. In front of Liberty Sacred City, the three arrays were confronting each other, entering a white-hot state. However, it was not a matter of time to determine the victor. Instantly, the three formations were in a deadlock. Seconds passed. A day had passed, and the three formations were still in a stalemate. The army of tens of millions and all the experts, as well as the experts and army in Liberty Sacred City, were all looking at the array formation worriedly. At this moment, it was up to them to see who could last the longest. The experts and armies in Liberty Sacred City naturally wanted this formation to remain in a stalemate until Ling Tian appeared. If that was the case, the army would no longer be used and Ling Tian would be able to deal with the crisis before him. However, the stalemate finally stopped. Kacha! Kacha! Boom! Ah! At this moment, an explosion sounded from the three arrays, as if something had been broken. The top-notch Divine Array was shaking, and so was Wu Jia's array. Lu Haotian's array was the most stable. Moreover, Lu Haotian's formation became even more overbearing. It quickly bombarded the AoTian Destruction Formation. Then with a loud explosion, AoTian flew out. Between heaven and earth, a destructive halo erupted and swept across. 16 array masters and thousands of experts vanished in the face of this explosion. The top-notch Divine Array also trembled. It was about to be destroyed. Zhou Yunxi waved her hand, and countless earth-shattering attacks bombarded the top-notch Divine Array. Boom, 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 boom. The top-notch Divine Array kept trembling. The stalemate between the three arrays had resulted in Wu Jizi and Lu Haotian, two holy array masters, over 100 array grandmasters, array geniuses, and over 1,000 experts. He finally destroyed the opponent's heavenless destruction array. At the same time, the top Divine Array of Liberty Sacred City trembled. However, this time, thousands of the enemy's experts had vanished into thin air, and 16 array grandmasters had been destroyed. Under the bombardment of tens of thousands of experts, the top-notch Divine Array trembled even more violently. Wu Jizi was the first to bear the brunt and spat out a mouthful of blood. Not far away, Lu Haotian also spat out a mouthful of blood, but his face was filled with excitement. This was because they had defeated the other party's Holy Array Master and Array Dao Master and destroyed thousands of experts. Use my blood essence to summon the Divine Array Spirit. Use my blood essence to summon the Divine Array Spirit. Invincible defense. Invincible defense. Wu Jizi and Lu Haotian were extremely anxious when they saw that the top-notch Divine Array was about to be destroyed. The power of a top-notch Divine Array was something that even a martial god expert would not be able to destroy so easily, let alone these experts in front of him. However, the top Divine Array was shaken by the AoTian Destruction Array. In addition, tens of thousands of martial saints and martial emperors attacked when the top-notch Divine Array was trembling. Even a top-notch Divine Array could not withstand so many attacks. Seeing this situation, the two of them looked at each other with solemn expressions. Then, their expressions became resolute as they nodded at each other. He glanced at the array formation geniuses and grandmasters behind him and quickly cast strange spells. The mysterious and strange spell was executed. Instantly, streams of magical aura were emitted from the array. At the same time, Wu Jizi and Lu Haotian, as well as all the array masters and array geniuses, took out their blood essence to summon the Divine Array Spirits. A God Array Spirit was the most terrifying trump card of a powerful array master. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they would not use such a method. After all, he had to sacrifice his blood essence when he used the summoning Array Spirit. Moreover, the power of the summoned Divine Array Spirit was devastating. It was already enough to hurt the heavens. If they failed, everyone would be injured. Even if they didn't die, they would lose half their lives. It would be very difficult for them to advance their array formation cultivation in the future. However, at this moment, facing such a situation, they no longer hesitated. Not good. The other party has used the forbidden summoning array spirit. Hurry up and break this array. Otherwise we're done for. Although the few 9th-level Super Martial Saint powerhouses were not array masters, their rich experience allowed them to recognize the taboo that Wu Jizi and the others had cast. If Wu Jizi and the others were to use it, they would be finished. At this moment, he had to break the array formation. Otherwise, when the other party finished casting it, the array formation would be destroyed and everyone present would disappear. Instantly, tens of thousands of experts unleashed their most powerful attacks. He would try to break this array formation in a short period of time. As long as he broke the array formation, he could break the other party's taboo. Ha ha. Ha ha. Are you scared? Wu Jizi laughed loudly. At this moment, the summoning array spirit had already finished casting. In the air, there were more than 400 exquisite blood-red sprites floating in the air. The blood-red sprites were only the size of a fist, and their exquisite wings were constantly flapping. Each blood-red spirit was cast by an array grandmaster or array genius, using their blood essence to transform into a divine array spirit. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Instantly, all the divine array spirits fused together, forming a shocking blood-red screen of light. The blood-red light was thousands of miles wide. These light curtains instantly entered the top-notch divine array that was about to be destroyed. Boom! Clang! 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 The moment the blood-red light screen fused with the top-notch divine array, the top-notch divine array was completely repaired again. Moreover, the top-notch divine array was like an iron plate. When the attacks landed, the sound changed, like a hammer hitting an iron plate. However, this was only in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the top-notch divine array erupted with a destructive blood-red light. At this moment, the light was tens of thousands of miles wide. The entire top-notch divine array turned blood-red. Outside the entire Liberty Sacred City, it was like a sea of blood. It looked extremely terrifying. Aha! Aha! On the city wall, countless experts and the army in front of the city wall were blocked by the blood-red light. Even his divine sense was isolated, but he could still hear screams. Waves of miserable screams rang out continuously. Only a few martial saints with heaven-defying divine senses saw it clearly. They saw that the top-notch divine array had all turned blood-red. Outside the top-notch divine array, the blood-red pillar of light that could destroy the world directly bombarded tens of thousands of experts and even the tens of millions of troops. The blood-red pillar of light that was 10,000 miles wide was like a mighty figure from the upper realm unleashing a heavenly might attack. The world kept trembling and collapsing, and space kept shattering. Rumble! 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 Puff! Puff crack, crack an earth-shattering explosion and the sound of experts spewing blood. There was also the sound of space being torn apart. At this moment, thousands of miles away from Liberty Sacred City had completely become a blood-red hell. A strange sign also appeared in the sky. The originally cloudless sky was now covered with dark clouds, as if the end of the world had arrived. The destruction of the array formation triggered the wrath of the high heavens. Boom! Boom! Crackling thunder rumbled and lightning arcs crisscrossed. Walala! Walala! In an instant, heavy rain fell. Tens of millions of soldiers and tens of thousands of experts were all destroyed by the blood-red pillar of light. The heavy rain continued to fall as if it was trying to wash away the blood of the people. However, under this blood-red pillar of light, countless armies and experts disappeared into thin air. The thunder and lightning were like the angry roars of the heavens, unable to stop. Boom! In the air, 100-mile-wide purple arc of lightning swooped down. His target was Wunizi and the others. Because Wu Jizi and the others had collectively used the summoning array spirits, they had almost destroyed tens of millions of troops and tens of thousands of experts. He wanted to destroy Wu Jizi and the others. The moment the purple electric arcs appeared, the sky was lit up by the blood-red and dark clouds. The blood-red light disappeared, and the blood-red light of the top-notch divine array also faded. The downpour also disappeared, and the thunder and lightning stopped. At this moment, The entire world fell silent except for the purple electric arc. The destructive purple lightning arc was 100 miles wide. Under the pressure of this lightning arc, Wu Jizi and the others could not move at all. He looked at the descending electric arc in despair. However, the despair in his eyes turned into excitement and madness. This was because they had used their greatest ability to destroy countless experts and armies, reducing the pressure on Liberty Sacred City. Now, even if they were to be destroyed, it would be worth it. Under the pressure of the purple electric arc, all the aura and air within a radius of 2 miles were stunned. Not to mention the experts, Wu Jizi and the others were injured. Even if he wasn't injured, he wouldn't be able to withstand the descent of this heavenly might. Moreover, after they used the summoning divine array spirit, they did not have any true essence left. Moreover, their cultivation had also lost a lot. Now, looking at the purple lightning arcs of heaven's might, they could only helplessly sneer. On the city wall, below the city wall, the 3 legions and the other armies, as well as countless experts from Liberty Holy City, looked at the purple lightning in the sky with horror. At this moment, the eyes of the soldiers and experts of the 3 legions were misty. 4 Liberty Sacred City, 2 Sacred Array Masters, 300 Array Dao Geniuses, and hundreds of Array Dao Grandmasters had given up their lives. They could only watch helplessly as these Array Masters were destroyed by the heavenly might. Young Master, Wu Jizi didn't disappoint you. Young Master, Lu Haotian didn't disappoint you. If there is a next life, I will always follow in the footsteps of the young master, and see the moment when the young master conquers the world and unifies the divine martial army. Wu Jizi, Lu Haotian, and all the array masters stared at the purple lightning bolts descending from the sky. They were all shouting loudly with crazy expressions on their faces, waiting for death and destruction to arrive. Chapter 773. 5-colored light pillar. It wasn't very powerful, but the aura of eternal isolation soared into the sky, entering the hearts of the experts and the army of Liberty's sacred city. This was a vow of never admitting defeat and never betraying. He used this action to prove that he would never regret following Li Lingtian. Even if the armies of the 4 kingdoms did not fall, there were still countless experts who were shocked. This was charm, Li Lingtian's charm. The charm that could make her subordinates loyal forever was something that could make her give up her life for her own city and Li Lingtian. Xueqi in the space, the destructive purple arc of lightning had already arrived 100 miles above the sky. With this speed, it would only take an instant to destroy Wu Jizi and the others. At this moment, the armies and experts of Liberty's sacred city, the armies of the 4 kingdoms, and countless experts all quieted down. He stared blankly at the electric arcs descending from the void. It was as if he had seen the moment when Wu Jizi and the others were destroyed. Clang! 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 At this moment, a beautiful sound of nature was emitted from Liberty Holy City. The sound of nature was extremely ethereal, as if it was emitted from the 9 heavens. In this strange and heavy atmosphere, the ethereal and beautiful zither music made the atmosphere even stranger. However, countless experts from Liberty's sacred city looked in the direction of the palace. Because this voice came from the palace. Swoosh, swoosh. The appearance of the beautiful zither music emitted a shocking pillar of light in the imperial palace. A red pillar of light shot into the sky. Immediately after, another blue light pillar appeared. At the same time as the blue light pillar appeared, black, white, and green light pillars appeared one after another. Although the martial path light pillars did not appear together, they quickly fused together after they appeared, and the fused light pillars formed a 5-colored light. The 5-colored pillar of light contained a magical array. After the pillar of light appeared, the spiritual energy around the entire Liberty sacred city quickly gathered and entered the pillar of light. A destructive aura appeared between heaven and earth. Countless experts felt like they had to worship and submit in front of this aura. Boom! In the eyes of all the experts, the pillar of light directly met the electric arcs that were bombarding the sky. At this moment, the 4 kingdoms and countless experts, as well as the army and experts of Liberty's sacred city, were all attracted by this pillar of light. He looked at the electric arc and the pillar of light. The 2 extremes of destruction were like 2 planets that were about to collide. In the blink of an eye, the beam of light and the electric arc collided. The space froze temporarily, as if it had stopped. Time was frozen, and so was the vision of all the experts. Roar! Clang! Arc! The lightning bolt that descended from the sky sensed the animosity of the five-colored light pillar and roared angrily. However, as the electric arcs roared, the zither music in the palace also sounded. The two sounds collided, and destructive sound waves swept in all directions. Countless experts were destroyed at this moment. The electric arcs and the light pillars were in a stalemate like two powerful planets. There was no winner at all. However, the heaven's might disappeared and was completely offset by the five-colored pillar of light. When the heaven's might disappeared, hundreds of experts flew out from the Liberty Sacred City army, bringing Wu Jizi and the others out of the heaven's might's attack range. When Wu Jizi and the others left the attack range of the heaven's might lightning arc, the five-colored light pillar also dissipated. Gotcha! With an explosion, the five-colored light pillar was destroyed. The heavenly might electric arc lost its opponent and fiercely bombarded the ground. Instantly, the electric arcs within a radius of 100 miles destroyed the ground. The ground 1,000 miles away from the center of the electric arcs began to churn. A destructive halo spread out in all directions, spreading for thousands of miles. For a moment, the area where the arc of lightning passed by vanished into thin air. Countless experts did not resist at all. At this moment, they became weak and disappeared in an instant, completely disappearing from this world. Liberty Sacred City also began to shake. Fortunately, Liberty Sacred City had a terrifying array formation, and Liberty Sacred City itself was like a complete treasure. This little influence naturally could not destroy Liberty Sacred City. The ground cracked and destroyed, extending for thousands of miles. The top-notch divine array was also destroyed at this time. The entire Liberty Sacred City was exposed to countless armies. Whoosh! The last sound of wind disappeared. The world finally quieted down. Everything that had just happened was like a nightmare for all the experts. In the Battle of Formation Path, 16 Formation Path Grandmasters were destroyed, and thousands of experts vanished in an instant. He originally thought that the top-notch divine array would be destroyed, but he never expected the Sacred Array Masters of Liberty Sacred City to join forces with the Array Masters to use the Divine Array Spirit. The destructive power wiped out millions of troops and more than half of the tens of thousands of experts. It had aroused the wrath of the heavens. They had thought that the Sacred Array Masters of Liberty Sacred City would be destroyed under the wrath of the heavens, but they had never expected that a few zither notes would resolve the heavenly might. In the end, the power of the heavenly might wiped out countless experts and armies. All of this was like a dream. Even many ninth heavenly layer martial saints were destroyed. The armies of the four kingdoms and tens of thousands of experts had never dreamed that things would turn out like this. Now, everyone was wondering who was the one who played the ethereal zither notes. If it was Li Lingtian, they would be doomed. Thousands of miles in front of Liberty Sacred City, it was extremely quiet. Only 4 million of the 10 million strong army were left. There were tens of thousands of experts, but there were less than 10,000 left. Moreover, even a super martial saint would not be able to escape this destruction. The originally powerful lineup had now become extremely miserable, completely like a defeated army. On the other hand, the people from Liberty Sacred City were extremely excited, except for countless experts and the army. The three legions and the other armies all set up powerful offensive formations, waiting for the arrival of the armies of the four kingdoms. Because at this time, the top-notch divine array had already been destroyed. However, this array formation had destroyed more than half of the forces. This was something that Liberty Sacred City and all the experts had not expected. At this moment, Wu Jizi and the others had become the heroes of Liberty Sacred City. Although they were curious about the ethereal zither notes, their main priority was to fend off the four kingdoms and the powerhouses' attacks while waiting for Li Lingtian to come out of seclusion. However, there were a few powerhouses from Liberty Holy City who were excited. It was Martial Saint Ming Luo and the others. They were well aware of Li Lingtian's methods. Only Li Lingtian could play the zither. Judging from the sound, they knew that Li Lingtian was very free. In other words, Li Lingtian had come out of seclusion long ago and was just waiting for the right opportunity. Martial Saint Ming Luo and the others were shocked. Although the Tianma zither controlled by Li Lingtian was overbearing, it was not as terrifying as it was now. It could actually withstand the might of heaven's might. Curiosity was curiosity, but he couldn't say it out loud. This must be Li Lingshan's plan. As the commander-in-chief of the three armies, he naturally knew what to do. With confidence, he naturally had confidence. Do you have the confidence to wipe out the four kingdoms? Marshal Saint Ming Luo asked loudly. Her aura soared and the aura of a commander was revealed. Moreover, that kind of dominance could only be possessed by an expert. It could only appear when one had great confidence. The army of the three legions and countless experts of Liberty's sacred city were puzzled. This time, they were fighting against the four kingdoms and the powerhouses to buy time for Li Lingtian. However, Marshal Saint Ming Luo's current appearance was to wipe out the four kingdoms and not just defend. Even if he wanted to increase his aura, he wouldn't use such a method. This simply wouldn't work. However, what shocked countless experts in the armies of the four kingdoms was that the morale of the three legions instantly soared. Yes, yes, yes. 3 legions, 3 million soldiers, and a regular army, a total of 4 million soldiers. The earth-shattering sound shook the entire Liberty sacred city. This momentum immediately made countless experts' blood boil. Kill them. Marshal Saint Ming Luo looked at the rising morale and revealed a crazed expression. Any man would like the passion of the battlefield. As the commander of an army of millions, and as an expert, he naturally had to fight on the battlefield. He waved the sword in his hand and issued an attack order. Instantly, the 4 million-strong army no longer guarded Liberty's sacred city. Instead, they charged towards the armies of the four kingdoms. The destructive army surged towards the armies of the four kingdoms like a tidal wave. This situation completely baffled the armies of the four kingdoms and countless experts. This was completely beyond everyone's imagination. Kill them! Kill them! Kill! A heaven-shaking battle cry sounded out. The momentum of the millions of troops seemed to want to destroy the world. At the same time, the 10 war gods slowly floated out. Kill them! On the war god, a fourth sky of the Marshal Saint Realm warrior saw the army attacking. He waved his hand, and an exquisite banner appeared in his hand. Instantly, the 10 war gods were activated at the same time. The earth-shattering light and shadow shot towards the armies of the four kingdoms like a meteor. With the war god's power opening the way, the army of Liberty Holy City didn't have the slightest obstruction. The power of the war god directly destroyed the morale of the armies of the four kingdoms. Swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, the powerhouses from Liberty's sacred city also flew up and floated in the air. They were responsible for blocking the other experts from entering the city. Now that the army was counterattacking, they naturally would not drop the ball. Rumble! 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 The ground trembled as countless armies fell under the light, vanishing into thin air. The armies of the four great kingdoms were destroyed. For a moment, the armies of the four kingdoms did not dare to gather together and split up. With this separation, the great army of Liberty's sacred city was completely satisfied. The great army of Liberty's sacred city was best at small-scale formation attacks. 9 people formed a formation, 36 people formed a formation, or 108 people formed a formation. In this way, he could fight against 100 enemies alone. Chapter 774. AoTian's Tyranny. At this moment, the armies of the four kingdoms were truly engaged in a great battle with the army of the free and unfettered dynasty. In this war, more than half of the army had been destroyed, but it had only just begun. This was indeed a humiliation for the four kingdoms. They had come to attack the carefree dynasty in a mighty manner, but they did not expect that millions of them would be destroyed before the war really began. Their morale was low, and the armies of the four kingdoms suffered a devastating blow. Boom! Boom! Rumble! Thousands of miles away from Liberty's sacred city, the ground continued to collapse and destroy. The space was also constantly destroyed, and the murderous aura that soared into the sky tore through the air. There were originally tens of thousands of experts, but now there were less than 10,000 left. Seeing the abnormal attack of the Xiaoyao dynasty army, they were all stunned. Seeing that the invading experts did not make a move, the super experts of Liberty's sacred city were naturally eager. They dared not be careless before Li Lingtian came out of seclusion. The armies of both sides engaged in a destructive battle, but the experts of both sides stood facing each other without any intention of fighting. Boom! Boom! At this moment, a shocking commotion appeared around Liberty Holy City. Heaven and earth shook at this moment. All the experts extended their divine senses. When they saw the commotion in the distance, they were all stunned. This was because the reinforcement army of the Freedom Dynasty had arrived. Tens of millions of troops had come from all directions and surrounded the Freedom Dynasty. Instantly, the four kingdoms and their experts were surrounded. With a counterattack of the Carefree Sacred City's army in front and the tens of millions of soldiers of the Carefree Empire surrounding them, the armies of the four kingdoms panicked. Kill them! Kill them! Kill them! Kill them! From all directions, shocking cries of killing shook the sky. The army surrounded the armies of the four kingdoms, and their momentum was unstoppable. Seeing this, all the experts in the world were stunned. They did not know what to do for a moment. If this continued, they would be surrounded and killed by these armies. No matter how powerful an expert was, there was nothing they could do in front of an array. Kill them! Kill these people first, then kill Li Lingtian. Zhou Yunqi shouted and flew ahead. Instantly, more than 10 ninth heavenly layer martial saints flew toward Liberty Saint City at high speed. The other thousands of experts also charged toward the experts from Liberty Sacred City. You're courting death. Seeing thousands of super experts arrive in the sky above Liberty Sacred City, what followed was a life-and-death battle between countless experts. At this moment, a faint voice sounded. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 old men in their 50s floated in the air. They did not have any aura from their bodies, just like ordinary old men. The appearance of the 2 elders stunned the experts of Liberty Sacred City. They did not know these 2 elders at all. In Liberty Sacred City, there was no such person. It was indeed puzzling that he did not expect to appear at this time. At the same time, thousands of cultivators arrived in the sky. When they saw the 2 old men, they did not attack first. Instead, they looked at the 2 old men solemnly. 9th heavenly layer of the Martial Saint realm. There's actually a 9th firmament Martial Saint in Liberty Holy City. Tian Chengzi. Yuniota. Martial Saint AoTian. Adept Tian Chengzi. When they saw the 2 old men, more than 10 9th heavenly layer Martial Saint realm martial artists among the thousands of martial artists finally recognized AoTian and the other man. They were both 9th heavenly layer martial saints, but the strength and reputation of AoTian and the other person were not something that an ordinary 9th heavenly layer martial saint could compare to. The 2 of them were top figures in the Mystic Moon Empire, and they had also obtained an ancient inheritance. Their cultivation had reached a terrifying level. Instantly, all the powerhouses looked at AoTian and Tian Chengzi with fear. Martial Saint AoTian, the 8th strongest of the 10 martial saints of the Mystic Moon Empire, Taoist Tian Chengzi. Could he be Great Shang's #1 martial saint? When the experts of the Carefree Empire heard the names of AoTian and Tian Chengzi, they immediately cried out in surprise. Their reputations were like thunder in the Mystic Moon Empire. One was the #1 martial saint of the Great Shang Kingdom, while the other was the 8th of the 10 martial saints of the Mystic Moon Empire. He did not expect the 2 of them to be in Liberty Sacred City. Moreover, they were people from Liberty Sacred City. All of a sudden, the powerhouses of Liberty Sacred City were extremely excited. With these 2 people, their chances were much greater. At this moment, the armies of both sides were in a stalemate. The 3 legions and the other regular armies faced off against the armies of the 4 kingdoms. The armies of the other kingdoms of the Freedom Dynasty surrounded everyone from the Freedom Sacred City. I didn't expect that someone would recognize me. I'll give you one chance. Leave immediately. Young master can pretend that nothing happened this time. Otherwise, you will stay here forever. AoTian saw that these experts still recognized him, and a faint smile appeared on his face. However, the corners of his mouth revealed even more disdain. As a 9th firmament martial saint, he had never taken these martial saint powerhouses seriously before. Now that he had obtained the ancient heritage and received Li Lingtian's guidance, his cultivation had reached another level. They had 1 foot in the martial god realm. As long as Li Lingtian came out of seclusion and this incident was over, he would allow them to advance to the martial god realm. Naturally, he would not take these experts seriously. Ha 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 ha. Aotian, I didn't think that you, the 8th of the 10 martial saints of the Mystic Moon Empire, would actually be inferior to a young man. I think you're getting worse and worse. An expert must have the heart of an expert. Where is your heart of an expert? When Xueqi saw Aotian's gaze, she was instantly furious. However, when she saw that Aotian's strength was even more terrifying than before, she felt even more afraid. He was already powerful enough in the past. From the looks of it now, he must have obtained some benefits and opportunities that made his strength even stronger. However, since he was already here and had been recognized by the other party, he would definitely become Li Lingxian's target if he were to return now. Instead of doing that, they might as well join forces to kill the two powerhouses first, then destroy Li Lingtian and obtain the elixir to become a martial god. The heart of the strong? Haha, the heart of the strong. In front of the young master, you are forever just ants. Only the young master can be called a true expert. It's a pity that you'll never be able to see how powerful the young master is. You don't deserve to see how powerful the young master is, because a giant dragon won't be an enemy of an ant. Xueqi laughed loudly. Upon hearing that, he could not hold it in any longer. Speaking of the heart of the strong, Li Lingtian would have the heart of the strong if he was stronger than Li Lingtian. In their hearts, Li Lingtian had already surpassed the realm of a warrior, while the powerhouse before them would forever remain a warrior. In that case, let us witness the strength of the two of you. We'll see how powerful Li Lingtian is then. I believe he's still in the midst of a breakthrough. The divine martial continent has never lacked powerful geniuses. A genius who hasn't matured will never be a genius. Do it! Xueqi shouted loudly. With a wave of her hand, her figure flashed and she took the lead to attack Aotian. The other powerhouses also charged towards AoTian and Xueqi. Boom! Rumble! Thousands of powerhouses charged towards Aotian and Xiaoyao. However, the powerhouses of Liberty Sacred City naturally would not allow these powerhouses to surround and kill Aotian and Xiaoyao. Instantly, the experts from both sides clashed. The world exploded again, and the destructive force wreaked havoc in space. Ants. They will always be ants. You still talk about the heart of the strong? In front of the young master, you are not even ants. Boom! Ah! Aotian looked at the few 9th heavenly layer martial saints surrounding him and attacking him. Every move they made had the power to destroy the world. However, when he saw these experts, he still revealed a disdainful expression. As soon as he finished speaking, a divine weapon in his hand blasted toward one of the 9th heavenly layer martial saints. Immediately, there was an explosion and a miserable cry. A 9th heavenly layer martial saint powerhouse was destroyed. With one move, he killed a 9th heavenly layer martial saint instantly under the eyes of a few 9th heavenly layer martial saints. Hush! Seeing this, Xueqi and the others all exhaled a breath of cold air, their eyes filled with fear. This was because Aotian's cultivation strength had completely exceeded their imagination. Even if they were both 9th firmament martial saints, they were not on the same level in front of Aotian. Pseudo-martial god. He has actually reached the level of a pseudo-martial god. What a terrifying middle-grade divine artifact. When Xueqi and the others saw Aotian kill one of their companions in an instant, their hearts immediately trembled. Their figures flashed and they quickly retreated, leaving Aotian far away. When they looked at Aotian, it was as if they had seen a ghost. He saw that Aotian's cultivation realm had actually reached the realm of a pseudo-martial god. Moreover, the weapon in his hand was a middle-grade divine artifact. For a moment, Xueqi and the others looked at Aotian from afar and did not dare to make any further moves. It was the same on the other side. The middle-grade divine artifact in Xueqi's hand carried the power to destroy the heavens and earth as it swept across experts of the same level. Ah! Two 9th firmament martial saints were instantly killed in front of a middle-grade divine artifact. With the realm of the false martial god and a middle-grade divine artifact, the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm was simply trash in front of them. Moreover, they were top-notch powerhouses and had even obtained an ancient inheritance. Their strength had already reached a heaven-defying level. Old Yun, you are still inferior to me. I've already killed 2 of them, but they're all trash. They're boring. Damn it, you still talk about the heart of the strong? In front of the young master, You are not even ants. Everything we have comes from the young master. You are all ants in front of us. Do you want to be ants in front of the young master? Trash, a bunch of trash. At this moment, Tian Qingzi was completely different from before. At this moment, he was like a madman. When he spoke, he was also swearing, just like a local ruffian. After killing 2 ninth heavenly layer martial saints, he said loudly to AoTian. He looked disdainfully at the other 9th heavenly layer martial saints who were still trembling. Chapter 775. Enemies Meet. 1. Tian Qingzi, I don't believe it. Let's see who's faster. When AoTian saw that Tian Qingzi had wiped out 2 ninth heavenly layer martial saints, his face revealed an excited and crazy expression. Moreover, he was even more unconvinced. The two of them did not have any interactions before, but after following Li Ling Tian, the two of them often practiced and sparred together. Both of them felt like heroes who appreciated each other. Although the two of them were not convinced by each other, there was no hostility. This was because they had a common master, Li Ling Tian. Li Ling Tian was currently cultivating in seclusion. Naturally, they would not stand idly by when Liberty Holy City was facing destruction. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flashed, and the middle-grade divine artifact in his hand was once again displayed. Cloudless sword sky breaking. A shocking sword light tore through the air, but after the sword light appeared, it quickly disappeared in the air. This strange attack immediately puzzled countless experts. However, AoTian's cultivation was extremely terrifying. He could instantly kill experts of the same level. The moment he made a move, he attracted everyone's attention. Naturally, they did not dare to be careless at this time. Tisk. Just as the sword light of the cloudless sword disappeared, a strange sound rang out, as if something had been pierced. Following that, there was the sound of blood spurting out. A 9th heavenly layer martial saint's glabella was pierced through. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his life force was quickly drained. His entire person fell down quickly. Then let's try and see who can kill more. When Tian Qingzi saw that AoTian had made his move, he did not hesitate at all. His figure flashed, and he unleashed an attack that could destroy the world. Instantly, the two of them were like flood dragons in the sky. Wherever they passed by, there was destructive power. Every time a martial saint attacked, a martial saint would die. All of a sudden, all the martial saint powerhouses were frightened by such a terrifying method. A martial saint was like an ant in front of the two of them. What kind of terrifying expert could withstand it? Kill them. Kill 1 to die. Kill 2 to earn 1. Countless experts from Liberty Holy City had also chosen their opponents and began to fight non-stop. This was because they had seen the strength of AoTian and Tian Qingzi, and they were confident. If he could kill a 9th firmament martial saint instantly, there was hope for Liberty Holy City. Rumble! Rumble! In the sky, a shocking explosion sounded, and destructive energy soared into the sky. The middle-grade divine artifacts in AoTian and Tian Qingzi's hands were like the scythes of the Grim Reaper, continuously reaping the lives of countless experts. Gradually, the experts in the sky were quickly killed, and the number of people decreased. There were only a few 9th heavenly layer martial saints left. However, the 4 kingdoms and countless experts were almost completely defeated, but they did not even take half a step into Liberty Sacred City. Whoosh! 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 Seeing this situation, countless experts began to escape. Due to this situation, they could not defeat AoTian and Tian Qingzi alone, let alone kill Li Ling Tian. The two of them were completely undefeatable. If this continued, they would all be killed. His figure flashed and he quickly flew into the distance. He left Liberty Sacred City far away and did not dare to stay in this place anymore. Seeing that the 9th heavenly layer martial saint expert had escaped, the other experts naturally followed suit. This was because their fighting spirit had long disappeared. They were only hoping to get lucky if they stayed behind. Kill, kill, kill. Kill, kill, kill. Seeing countless experts fleeing, the army of the Carefree Dynasty and the army of the Carefree Sacred City cheered. The shouts resounded through the heavens and earth as the tens of millions of soldiers formed a joint attack, surrounding the armies of the 4 kingdoms. The armies of the four kingdoms had no morale at all. They were facing the madness of the three legions and the siege of tens of millions of soldiers. In less than half an hour, the armies of the four kingdoms were almost all gone. Yun AoTian and Tian Chengzi had been floating in the air, their bodies covered in blood. Although the blood was not theirs, the current situation was extremely terrifying. Their faces were pale. After all, they were facing countless experts. It was too exhausting to rely on two people to kill all the experts. However, he did not dare to go back now because he had received news that there were still super experts coming. They dared not be careless until Li Lingtian came out of seclusion. The two of them were drenched in blood as they floated in the air like two killing gods. Their eyes stared into the distance as if they were waiting for something. "Old Yun, you rest first." "Well, take turns to rest," Tian Chengzi said indifferently. In the current situation, they did not dare to leave this place because the power of the two of them working together could definitely sweep away any martial saint. If he was alone, he would definitely be killed by others. Now that there were no super experts coming, they could take turns to recover. That way, when the experts arrived, they would have a better chance of winning. "I can't. Look at this." Yun AoTian's face revealed a bitter smile, but the fighting spirit on his body surged out, and his entire person produced an aura that could destroy the world. He stretched out his hand, and a crystal stone appeared in his palm. There were more than 10 spots of light in the crystal stone. In fact, the 5 spots of light were several times brighter than the others. Tian Chengzi's expression changed drastically when he saw that there were more than 10 light spots inside the crystal. Because they knew what the specks of light in the crystal represented. The light spots in the crystal could only flash at the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. The crystal was crafted by Li Lingtian and there were countless arrays inside. As long as there was a 9th firmament martial saint within 1,000,000 miles of Liberty Holy City, the crystal would be discovered. Each light spot represented a 9th heavenly layer martial saint. The stronger the light spot was, the more terrifying the cultivation was. The two of them had been waiting in Liberty Holy City for the arrival of these powerhouses. Therefore, the 9th heavenly layer martial saints who came were all under their control. These 5 guys should be the existences of the false martial god realm. As for the other 9th heavenly layer martial saints, a few of them have just escaped. Tian Chengzi's expression became numb as he spoke indifferently. "That's right. Young Master said that this is our opportunity. As long as we kill one of them, we can complete the mission and break through. What is Young Master waiting for?" Yun AoTian's voice was calm. Naturally, he was well aware of Li Lingtian's situation. Of course, he knew that Li Lingtian had already come out of seclusion. However, Li Lingtian had yet to come out. No one knew what he was waiting for. Could it be that they are waiting for a martial god expert? Tian Chengzi was also puzzled, but he suddenly thought of a terrifying thing, and his expression turned ugly. "Martial god expert?" Yun AoTian also almost cried out in surprise. The two of them spoke very softly, so no one could hear them at all. Moreover, there was a mysterious aura around the two of them, and outsiders' divine senses could not enter. That should be it. With Young Master's current cultivation and strength, there's no one among the martial saints who can match him. Only martial god experts are his match. This time, some powerful and heaven-defying experts also want to take the opportunity to get rid of Young Master and obtain the medicinal pills in Young Master's hands. I didn't know that the Young Master had already come out of seclusion and was waiting for their arrival. Young Master's cultivation speed is indeed terrifying. In just half a month, he has already stabilized his realm. Tian Chengzi said softly. He was still afraid at the thought of Li Lingtian's strength and heaven-defying nature. However, he was more excited. Meeting such a powerful and heaven-defying master, he would be able to become stronger in the future. They already had grade 8 spirit concentration pills in their hands. As long as they found an opportunity, they could break through. The armies of the four kingdoms had all been annihilated. The army of the Xiaoyao dynasty was also waiting for Martial Saint Ming Luo and the others' orders. At this moment, the powerhouses above Liberty Sacred City were also floating in the air. They looked at Yun AoTian and Yun Xiaotian, not knowing what the two of them were going to do. Without their orders, they did not dare to leave. This was a world where the strong were respected. Two people who could easily kill a ninth heavenly layer martial saint and sweep away all the other experts had become the core figures at this moment. Before Li Lingshan's arrival, the two of them were the main force and the core of the team. Hiss. Time slowly passed. The entire scene was silent and the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. However, none of the armies and experts made a sound. A moment later, the sound of space being torn apart could be heard. In the quiet space, this tearing sound was as uncomfortable as tearing apart the bodies of all the experts. At this moment, everyone understood that AoTian and the other man were waiting for the arrival of a true powerhouse. A few days ago, he knew that a super pseudo-martial god had arrived, but he hadn't seen it after the battle. They all thought that it was just a rumor, but now that they saw the situation in the sky, they understood that everything was true. A true expert had arrived. All the soldiers and experts looked at the sky. In the void, a light shadow appeared, and a hole was torn in the air. 5 powerful figures appeared from the opening. As the light shadow appeared, 5 figures slowly formed. The 5 figures quickly separated and each chose a position. Whoosh, whoosh. After the 5 figures appeared, the sound of air being torn apart appeared in the sky. The 9 lights and shadows were like meteors that streaked over. At this moment, all the troops and powerhouses saw clearly that there were 9 ninth heavenly layer martial saints. The other 5 figures did not have any aura from their bodies. They were like 5 ordinary people floating in the air. Pseudo-martial god. 5 pseudo-martial god experts. The experts in the Army of Liberty's sacred city exclaimed. He did not expect 5 fake martial god experts to come at this time. What kind of existence was a fake martial god expert? They were experts that only martial saints and martial gods could see. His realm was among the martial saints, but a portion of his strength had already come into contact with the martial god realm. Such an expert could destroy the world. A 9th firmament martial saint powerhouse was on a completely different level in front of a pseudo-martial god. They had all seen it in the beginning. When they saw AoTian and Xueqi kill the other 9th heavenly layer martial saints, it was a complete instant kill. Now, 5 pseudo-martial god realm experts who were as powerful as AoTian and the others had suddenly appeared. This immediately shocked the experts and Army of Liberty Holy City. Chapter 776. Heaven-defying formation of 3 talents. 1. AoTian, Xueqi. Long time no see. Yao Yuan, one of the 5 fake martial god realm experts, swept his gaze over Xueqi before his gaze landed on AoTian. There was a flash of surprise in his eyes, but it was gone for a moment. No one noticed it at all. Then, he spoke indifferently. His voice was calm, like a friend who had not seen each other for many years. Yao Yuan, 100 years have passed. I didn't expect you to still be a pseudo-martial god. 100 years ago, you and I should settle our old scores today, right? AoTian's eyes were calm, but the aura on his body quickly soared. The killing intent of destruction, this kind of killing intent was irreconcilable. It was an existence that would kill you and kill me. Needless to say, all the experts understood that there was definitely an irreconcilable enemy between the two of them. Moreover, they could not forget it even after 100 years. On the contrary, they hated it even more. I didn't wipe you out 100 years ago. Today you have even less hope of escaping. I just didn't expect you to have reached the level of a pseudo-martial god. Unfortunately, you will never be my opponent. Yao Yuan's face revealed a disdainful expression, and the corners of his mouth curled into a cruel expression. The hatred between the two of them could never be resolved. Fake Taoist, your enemy is here too. I'll make a move first. Let's see who can return here again. The aura on AoTian's body continued to rise, but his tone was extremely calm. The expression on his face was also calm, and his calmness was shocking. He slowly shifted his gaze, and his gaze landed on one of the old pseudo-martial god. The corners of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile as he finally spoke to Xueqi. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure flashed and he quickly flew into the distance. This place was Carefree Holy City, and there was also the army of Carefree Dynasty. If they fought here, they would completely destroy Carefree Holy City. The war between the fake martial gods would destroy the world. Even if they won, Liberty Sacred City would be destroyed. Therefore they could not fight here. In a flash, he was already 100 miles away. Swoosh. I'll leave this place to you. I'll deal with him first. Yao Yuan looked into the distance and pondered for a moment before his figure flashed. He quickly chased after AoTian, Yao Yuan's voice echoing in the air. To him, it was naturally beneath him to join forces with others to kill his enemies. If he did so, he would not have the face to survive in the divine martial continent in the future. In his opinion, killing a defeated opponent from 100 years ago was a piece of cake. In the blink of an eye, AoTian and Yao Yuan had already disappeared from the sight of all the powerhouses. The aura in the air was extremely strange. The experts in the army of Liberty Sacred City were all stunned at this moment. 5 pseudo-martial god powerhouses came. AoTian left and took one with him. No one could resist the remaining experts. Everyone looked at Xueqi. If Xueqi left, Liberty Sacred City would be finished. However, what he was worried about would still happen. Zhonghao, since you're here, let's settle the old scores first. I don't want to lose to old Yun. Xueqi's eyes were bloodshot, but his tone was calm and provocative. After saying that, his figure flashed and flew in the opposite direction of AoTian. When the old man among the remaining 4 false martial gods saw Xueqi leave, he did not hesitate at all and quickly chased after him. In the blink of an eye, Xueqi and Zhonghao disappeared from everyone's sight. There were only 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts and 9 ninth firmament martial saints left. There were also the powerhouses from Liberty Holy City who looked desperate. The strongest in Liberty Holy City was only at the 6th heavenly layer. However, the other party had 9 ninth heavenly layer martial saints and 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts. With such a terrifying lineup, Liberty Sacred City had no chance at all. Rumble! Rumble! 10,000 miles away. The world trembled. Earth-shattering explosions sounded on both sides, and the ground trembled as well. A destructive force soared into the sky. From time to time, it erupted with the pressure of a divine artifact and the destructive aura of an expert. Everyone understood this situation. AoTian and Xueqi had already started fighting with their opponents. Moreover, it was a battle of life and death. Do you want to wait for AoTian and Xueqi to return? That's impossible. Even if they come back, they will only die. Xiao Tianming looked at the experts of Liberty Sacred City as if he was looking at a dead man. In his eyes, some 5th or 6th sky martial saints were just ants. His eyes were filled with viciousness, and his face revealed a smile like a cat playing with a mouse. Kneel and submit. I can give you a chance to escape. Xiao Tianming's smile grew wider when he saw that the experts from Liberty Sacred City did not speak. In this place he was the ruler. He could kill whoever he wanted to kill. Moreover, he had 2 powerful companions by his side and 9 ninth heavenly layer martial saints as cannon fodder. Naturally, he was unscrupulous. Really? On the city wall of Liberty Saint City, a 3rd sky martial saint looked at the heaven-defying expert in front of him. His eyes were filled with despair. However, at this moment, the despair in his eyes turned blood red and became extremely crazy. Haha, you're just an ant. How dare you question me? You're courting death. Xiao Tianming didn't think that someone would dare to oppose him, and his face instantly exploded with anger. However, he did not intend to make a move. Instead, he gave a look to a 9th heavenly layer martial saint beside him. In this place, any 9th heavenly layer martial saint could wipe out Liberty Sacred City. Naturally, he did not need to do anything. Swoosh! A 9th firmament martial saint's figure flashed as he flew towards the direction of Liberty Sacred City. Without a 9th heavenly layer martial saint as an opponent, he was naturally unrestrained. Even if you die, you won't feel good. The 3rd heaven martial saint on the city wall looked even crazier. With a flash, he quickly left the city wall and flew toward the 9th heavenly layer of the martial saint realm. Upon seeing this, all the experts were stunned. The experts of Liberty Holy City also exclaimed. The 3rd and 9th heavenly levels of the martial saint realm. Weren't they courting death? But then, all the powerhouses understood. The hearts of the experts from Liberty Sacred City trembled. The 3rd sky of the martial saint realm expert's aura soared, and there was a bloody mist on his body. It was a complete reversal of his meridians and the prelude to self-destruction. Seeing such a situation, all the experts were stunned. A third heavenly layer martial saint actually chose to self-destruct. With such power, even a ninth heavenly layer martial saint would die. Not good. When the ninth heavenly layer martial saint saw a third heavenly layer flying over, he wanted to torture him to death and show off his strength in the ninth heavenly layer in front of all the powerhouses in the world. However, when he realized that something was wrong, he was shocked. However, it was already too late. His eyes revealed a look of despair. Even though he knew that it was impossible for him to resist the power of the third sky of the martial saint realm self-destruction, he still instinctively used his defense. Boom! In the air, as the true essence of the third heaven expert reversed, the aura between heaven and earth trembled strangely, and even the air distorted. Martial saint powerhouses had already grasped some of the basic trajectories between heaven and earth. When they self-destructed, they would naturally destroy the world. With a loud explosion, the third sky of the martial saint realm turned into a bloody curtain. A formless destructive force spread out. The ninth heavenly layer of the martial saint realm was the first to bear the brunt. When they encountered the invisible destructive force, they turned into nothingness in the blink of an eye and disappeared from the world. They did not even have the chance to resist. The sky was destroyed, and countless experts hurriedly fled or used their strongest defenses to block. Boom! All of a sudden, 9 ninth heavenly layer martial saints and 3 false martial god realm experts were bombarded by an invisible destructive force. A few ninth firmament martial saints had fallen, and the others were also spurting out blood. It was obvious that they were heavily injured. The pseudo-martial god expert was not injured at all. Because of their defense and terrifying spatial control, they had a better resistance against the self-destruction of a level 3 expert. Kacha space was destroyed. At this moment, the air seemed to have frozen. The remaining few super heaven-defying experts had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. The 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts were not injured at all. The remaining 4 ninth firmament martial saints had blood on the corners of their mouths and looked extremely miserable. As a breeze blew past, the aura in the air was restored. However, the atmosphere was extremely strange. Isn't it very powerful? Since you want to enter Liberty's sacred city, then show me your true abilities. Another third sky of the martial saint realm expert flew up and floated in the air. He circulated his genuine vitality and his aura had reached its peak. A crazed look appeared in his eyes. At this moment, the powerhouses of Liberty's sacred city were all boiling with excitement. They were both experts and citizens of Liberty's sacred city. If others could self-destruct to protect Liberty's sacred city, so could they. Mulan's eyes were filled with madness. His aura surged. Although he did not reverse his true essence, if the other party dared to enter Liberty's sacred city, he would self-destruct and die together. In the sky, the remaining few super experts had strange expressions on their faces when they saw this. Liberty's sacred city was united, and the things they did were also extremely crazy. If the other party self-destructed one by one, they would not be able to do anything. A mighty pseudo-martial god expert, plus a ninth firmament expert, had actually become a tiger riding on a tiger, making it difficult for them to back down. How could they endure this? Form the formation. 3 talents heaven-defying formation. Xueqi looked at the situation in Liberty's sacred city. If this continued, there was really nothing he could do. Then, a hint of viciousness appeared in his eyes. As he shouted, the true essence in his body circulated. At the same time, the other 2 pseudo-martial god experts and 4 ninth heaven experts also started to circulate their vital essence. Suddenly, a destructive aura soared into the sky. The destructive aura soared into the sky and stirred the sky. The 3 pseudo-martial god realm experts and the 4 ninth firmament martial saint realm experts started to spin rapidly, forming a strange array formation. In the array formation, the aura also changed and became extremely ethereal. The entire space also rotated with the array formation. Chapter 777. Change of situation. The heaven-defying 3 talents formation was originally a magical formation of the 5 elements. However, after being altered by countless array masters, this heaven-defying 3 talents array became even more heaven-defying. Furthermore, This heaven-defying formation was now executed by 3 fake martial god realm experts and 4 ninth heaven experts. The effect was even more terrifying, and a shocking aura soared into the sky. In the blink of an eye, the destructive array formation formed a circle of light and quickly flew toward Liberty's sacred city. At this moment, the 3 fake martial gods and the 4 ninth heaven experts could no longer be seen. The 7 experts had transformed into a huge halo. When Mulan saw the other party use such an array formation, she revealed a shocked expression and her figure flashed. The true essence in his entire body reversed, and his meridians flowed in reverse. Suddenly, the space emitted a destructive and violent aura. The aura of self-destruction shook the space at this moment. His figure turned into a blood-red light screen and crashed into the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded. Mulan, who was at the 3rd sky of the martial saint realm, turned into a destructive force and disappeared from the world. A ray of light fiercely crashed into the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. The heaven-defying 3 talents formation shook for a moment before quickly stabilizing. Seeing this situation, the expressions of all the experts in Liberty Holy City changed drastically. Even the self-destruction of a 3rd sky martial saint expert could not shake this heaven-defying 3 talents formation. One could imagine how terrifying this heaven-defying 3 talents formation was. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, another 2 martial saint experts flew out. The destructive power of their self-destruction bombarded the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. Boom! Boom! With 2 explosions, the power of the self-destruction of the 2 martial saints landed on the array. It was the same power, but the power of their self-destruction was even more terrifying. However, it was still unable to break the heaven-defying 3 talents array. It only blocked the heaven-defying 3 talents formation for a moment. It was simply impossible to destroy this array formation. Rumble! Rumble! At this moment, the destructive 3 talents heaven-defying formation had already arrived in front of the experts of Liberty Sacred City, and continuously crushed and destroyed them. Countless experts were like ants in front of this array at this moment. They had no ability to resist at all. Ah! Ah! Screams rang out as countless experts fell like rain. In the air, there was no longer any sign of life. At this moment, all the experts were in despair. In front of the combined forces of true experts, their lives were so fragile that they could not resist at all. Boom! Boom! The earth-shattering explosion and the miserable cries of the fallen experts continuously fused together. The heaven-defying 3 talents formation kept approaching Liberty's sacred city. Countless experts were continuously crushed. In front of this array, everything became fragile. Martial Saint Ming Luo and the others' eyes were bloodshot. This was because these experts were the wealth of Liberty's sacred city. In the future, they would have to rely on these experts to dominate the world. However, at this time they kept falling. These fallen experts were all martial supremes, martial emperors, and martial saints. Any one of them was an overlord and a super expert. However, at this moment, these experts were unable to withstand a single blow. You don't know your own strength. Just as the heaven-defying 3 talents formation approached Liberty Saint City, an ethereal voice sounded from the sky. The voice was like the sound of nature, sweet and clear, but this voice carried supreme majesty, making all the experts not dare to have the slightest blasphemy. As soon as he finished speaking, 5 beautiful slender figures appeared in the sky above Liberty's sacred city. The 5 figures were like 5 peerless fairies. When these figures appeared, the experts and countless citizens of Liberty's sacred city cheered. Because these 5 figures were 5 peerless girls. Moreover, these 5 peerless girls were the wives of Li Lingtian, the ruler of the Carefree dynasty. If they appeared at this time, they would definitely have to fend off the experts from the outside. The 5 girls who appeared were naturally Li Lingxian's wife, Huangfu Yuyan, Tang Qingyue, Shunmei Tang Ziming, and Qing Ling. The 5 of them floated in the air. They formed a strange formation, and a trace of killing intent appeared in her beautiful eyes. The 5 of them didn't have any discussion, but they were able to perform mysterious hand gestures at the same time. Her slender fingers were like butterflies as she waved them around quickly. Instantly, the 5 of them fluttered like butterflies, and a destructive aura spread out in the air. 5 elements reincarnation. With a shout,
The 5 of them formed a terrifying pillar of light and bombarded the heaven-defying formation.
At this moment, the pillar of light pierced through the void and directly bombarded the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. Wherever the pillar of light passed, everything was destroyed. Boom! In the sky, the light pillar and the heaven-defying tri-talent formation seemed to be 2 different worlds. The 2 worlds collided. The power of destruction wreaked havoc in the space at this moment. All the experts were stunned and forgot to escape. They were all attracted by the pillar of light and the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. With a shocking explosion, Mars collided with Earth. 2 destructive and terrifying attacks collided. The space trembled, and the ground trembled as well. Gotcha! With a tearing sound, the pillar of light quickly disappeared. After all, Tang Qingyue and the others were only martial emperor powerhouses. No matter how powerful they were when they joined forces, their opponents were indeed 9th heavenly layer martial saints and pseudo-martial god powerhouses. However, Huangfu Yuyan and the others floated in the air and had no intention of attacking. With a faint smile on his face, he looked at the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. Although the heaven-defying 3 talents formation is powerful, it's still too weak in front of us. I wonder if Big Brother Ling Tian will be able to kill them in an instant. Tang Zi spoke in a delicate voice, completely ignoring the power of the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. This situation made countless experts puzzled. The pillar of light clearly did not break the heaven-defying 3 talents formation, but he had to comment like this. It was indeed somewhat puzzling. However, just as the powerhouses from Liberty Sacred City were puzzled, a strange change occurred in the air. Cracks began to appear on the heaven-defying 3 talents formation. The cracks grew larger and larger. Finally, with a cracking sound, the heaven-defying 3 talents formation completely collapsed. Puff! The sound of blood spurting out rang out. The 4 9th heavenly layer martial saints spurted out blood again. The faces of the 3 false martial god experts were also pale. The destructive aura spread out in all directions. Wherever it passed, the air was constantly distorted and burned. Whoosh! There was an uproar. All the experts of Liberty Sacred City were shocked. The array formation cast by a few delicate girls from the martial emperor realm had actually broken the array formation of 7 super powerhouses. Moreover, this confidence made countless powerhouses feel inferior. Moreover, at this time, the experts who had originally escaped had also rushed back and were prepared to take advantage of them. However, when they saw that the array formation of a few super experts was broken by a few girls, they were incomparably shocked. Puff! 2 of the pseudo-martial god powerhouses could no longer hold it in and finally spat out the blood that they had been suppressing. The fake martial god expert did not want to make a fool of himself, so he suppressed it with his blood. However, the terrifying destructive aura was completely out of their control, and they spat out a mouthful of blood. Li Lingtian had found the 5 elements reincarnation formation from the divine formation diagram. It was an ancient divine formation. Its power was heaven-defying. No matter how heaven-defying the heaven-defying formation of 3 talents was, it was still within the 5 elements. The 5 elements countered each other. The combined power of Huangfu Yuyan and the others, coupled with the laws of the 5 elements, directly broke the heaven-defying formation of 3 talents. The 5 elements reincarnation is indeed powerful. Seeing you guys come out, I guess Li Lingtian hasn't come out of seclusion yet. No matter how powerful the 5 elements reincarnation is, you can only use it once. Now let's see if you still have the ability to stop us. You must die today, and so will Li Lingtian. Zhao Siyu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and his expression was extremely ugly. The mighty false martial god was actually stopped by some trash from Liberty Holy City. In the end, they joined forces to cast a heaven-defying array formation, but it was broken by a few martial emperors. This was a slap in the face. They no longer had any face to speak of. As he spoke, a cruel expression overflowed from the corner of his mouth. His gaze continuously swept across Huangfu Yuyan and the others, and his gaze became extremely evil. Feeling such a gaze, killing intent rose in Tang Zimeng's heart. How could she stand such a gaze? Trash, a bunch of trash. You're just taking advantage of Big Brother Ling Tian's closed-door cultivation to rob a burning house. Do you dare to come before Big Brother Ling Tian enters closed-door cultivation? You want to kill us? You're too useless, Tang Ziming said coldly. The killing intent in her eyes was extremely dense. However, they couldn't do it now. The 5 elements reincarnation.
Even if their cultivation had increased and they had cultivated the 5 elements reincarnation to the extreme, they couldn't use it a second time in a row.
No matter what move it was, it had its limitations. The more powerful the move and cultivation technique, the stronger the limitations. Moreover, they had the advantage of using an array formation to deal with the heaven-defying 3 talents array. It did not mean that they could defeat these powerhouses if they joined forces. Let alone defeating these powerhouses, they could not even deal with any 9th heavenly layer martial saint if they joined forces. This was not the time for them to make a move. That was because the person who needed to make a move had already arrived. Damn it, I won't kill you today. When the time comes, I'll capture you alive and let you have a taste of lust. Hee, I'll let you know who's more powerful, me or Li Lingtian. How could Zhao Siyu tolerate Tang Ziming calling him a good-for-nothing in front of all the experts in the world? He was instantly furious. His eyes kept sizing up Tang Ziming's petite body, and an evil smile appeared on his lips. For a girl, being humiliated in front of all the experts in the world was indeed worse than killing her. Ha ha. Instantly, the few martial saints and the other 2 pseudo-martial god realm experts burst out laughing. This was Li Lingshan's woman after all. It would be exciting if he could conquer her. However, before they could finish laughing, the smiles on their faces gradually turned solemn, and then from solemn to horrified, as if they had seen a ghost. I recommend the new book, Ancient Sage Myriad Ancient King. I welcome everyone to read and save it. I also want to vote for it. The new book needs everyone's support. Only with everyone's support can the new book go further. Chapter 778. Power of 100 Dragons, 1. All the powerhouses were puzzled when they saw the expressions of the few 9th heavenly layer martial saints and the pseudo-martial god realm experts. However, he soon understood something and was shocked. A destructive killing intent appeared in the space. This killing intent had already formed a substance. The killing intent formed a vortex in the air, and then the vortex disappeared. An expert with such killing intent was definitely a heaven-defying existence. Moreover, this killing intent was everywhere and extremely ethereal. The source of the killing intent could not be found at all. It was indeed rare to encounter a killing intent that could make a fake martial god and a 9th firmament martial saint afraid. He did not expect such a murderous intent to appear in Liberty's sacred city. For a moment, the few 9th heavenly layer martial saints and pseudo-martial god realm experts were shocked. They had already thought of something terrifying. Die! After the destructive killing intent, an ethereal voice sounded. The voice was extremely cold, as if it came from the 9 nether hell, causing all the experts to shiver. As soon as he finished speaking, the space shook strangely. Ah! Bang! Puff! Zhao Siyu let out a blood-curdling scream. Following that, his entire body was strangely squeezed in the air. In an instant, he did not have the slightest reaction and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, his body turned into a bloody curtain and was directly crushed by the strange spatial power. Soundwave attack. Divine sense attack. Zhao Siyu, who was a fake martial god, was strangely squeezed to death after a voice sounded. Immediately, all the experts were stunned, and their faces were filled with shock. The expressions of the 2 pseudo-martial god realm experts, Chen Ling and Yun Feiyong, who were standing not far from Zhao Siyu, changed drastically. His eyes were filled with despair as he spoke with a trembling voice. The other experts only watched as Zhao Siyu was killed. It was as if space had been squeezed and exploded. However, the 2 of them were fake martial gods, so they could tell that Zhao Siyu had been killed by divine sense and sound waves. Because Zhao Siyun was the first to scream, the scream was because his divine sense was attacked. The speed of his divine sense was countless times faster than the sound wave. When Zhao Siyu's scream fell, the sound wave destroyed Zhao Siyu. Hush! All the experts, including those from Liberty Sacred City, exhaled a breath of cold air. They did not know who was so terrifying. If it was really a spiritual sense and sound wave attack, who knew what kind of person this expert was to be so powerful? You're all waiting for me, right? You came from afar.
It is indeed rude of me not to welcome you.
In the air, that familiar voice sounded again. However, this voice had become calm and not as cold as before. All the experts looked towards the source of the voice in shock. When they saw the owner of the voice, the expressions of all the experts changed. The expressions of the experts from the outside became extremely ugly, as if they had seen a ghost. Their bodies kept trembling, but the expressions of the experts from Liberty Sacred City became excited and hot.
Li Ling Tian. Li Ling Tian. Young Master.
Young Master D. All of a sudden, all the experts cried out in surprise. However, everyone's tone was different, because some of them were trembling in shock, while others were excited and expectant. However, the only similarity was shock to the owner of this voice.
A graceful figure floated in the air.
No one knew when this figure had arrived, how long it had been here, or how it had arrived.
It was as if this figure had always been here.
His white clothes fluttered in the wind, and his figure was like a proud divine dragon. His entire aura was elegant and otherworldly. He had a calm expression on his face and a confident smile on his lips. His eyes looked at all the experts indifferently, and his entire person was extremely carefree. His gaze looked at all the experts. All the experts seemed to feel that this gaze was staring at them.
This white-robed young man did not have the aura of an expert at all. He did not have the aura of an expert.
He was just like an ordinary person. However, this temperament made everyone feel afraid. Indeed, the young man in white was Li Ling Tian, the ruler of the Carefree Dynasty, Level 8 Super Divine Alchemist and the Divine Martial Continent's number 1 Super Divine Alchemist, Li Ling Tian.
Young Master, Young Master.
Young Master D, Young Master D. At this moment, Li Ling Tian was hovering in the air without saying a word. However, he seemed to be the sole ruler of this world. No one dared to make a single move. All the armies of the Carefree Dynasty and Carefree Sacred City, as well as the super experts of Carefree Sacred City. At this moment, he couldn't help but worship. Tens of millions of troops and tens of thousands of experts knelt down in unison. The billions of citizens of Liberty Sacred City also knelt down at this moment.
Their faces were filled with endless sincerity.
There was not a trace of disrespect or dissatisfaction. Li Ling Tian, didn't you just break through? How did you manage to stabilize your realm? Yun Feiyang was shocked when he saw the tens of millions of troops, countless powerhouses, and the citizens of Liberty Sacred City who were loyal and worshipped Li Ling Tian. The thought of Li Lingshan's terrifying ability to kill a pseudo-martial god with a casual divine consciousness and sound wave before he even showed himself made him extremely afraid. As he spoke, he began to stutter and refused to answer the call. Li Ling Tian was only a month away from his breakthrough, so how did he manage to stabilize his realm now? Not only the other experts, but also the experts of Liberty Sacred City and the tens of millions of soldiers were curious and puzzled. This was because they could not tell Li Lingshan's true state from his current state. However, Li Ling Tian had just killed a pseudo-martial god with his divine consciousness. His cultivation must have reached a terrifying state. After Yun Feiyang's question, all the powerhouses looked at Li Ling Tian curiously. Huang Fu Yuyan and the others came to Li Lingshan's side while Xuan Yuan Ying came to his side. Will I need half a year to break through? Do you think I will compare myself to trash like you? I've been waiting for you since a month ago. You're just cannon fodder. Now that you know so much, it's time for you to die. Li Lingshan's expression remained calm and composed, and the smile on his lips remained. He looked at the two false martial god realm experts and the 4 ninth firmament martial saints with disdain. As soon as he spoke, he extended his hands into the air and an invisible force appeared in his hands. With the appearance of Li Ling Tian, the space trembled as if it could not withstand the invisible force. Moreover, this invisible force quickly distorted and appeared in the air after it was distorted. The invisible became tangible. Li Lingshan's expression was calm and composed. He did not even look at the force in the air. However, when all the experts saw this power, they were all shocked. Saint Qi. No, it's the legendary strength of 100 dragons. All the martial saint powerhouses exclaimed when they saw the force in Li Lingshan's hand. This was because they saw Li Ling Tian mastering the warrior sage's innate skill. After martial emperor powerhouse broke through,
There was a 1 in 10,000 chance of obtaining an innate ability. However, the innate ability obtained by a martial saint powerhouse was only supplementary. The saint origin energy was the most magical energy of a saint realm expert. But the only thing more terrifying than the saint origin energy was the 100 dragon energy. In other words, the power of 100 dragons was the most powerful talent a saint realm expert could obtain. It was even rarer and more powerful than 1/10,000th of a saint origin. Initially, they thought that Li Lingxin's power was saint origin force. However, they realized that it was not saint origin force when they saw traces of dragon power in it. Instead, it was the power of 100 dragons, which was even more terrifying than saint origin force. That's right, it's the strength of 100 dragons. Li Lingxin's expression remained calm. With a wave of his hands, the destructive power of 100 dragons swept across the void and blasted toward the two false martial god realm experts. In front of the power of 100 dragons, the pressure was heaven-defying. Even a martial saint powerhouse could not dodge and could only take it head-on. Boom! Gotcha! Boom! 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 With a muffled sound, the void was shattered by the power of 100 dragons. Then, the sound of something being hit appeared, followed by continuous explosions. The result of this explosion was that the fake martial god and the 9th firmament martial saint were blasted apart, turning into a bloody veil and disappearing from the world. The power of 100 dragons could destroy the world, and it was as powerful as 100 ancient true dragons. No one could imagine how powerful the fusion of the power of 100 true dragons was. However, this attack had killed the fake martial god and a few 9th firmament martial saints. It's your honor to die in front of the power of 100 dragons. This is the price you have to pay for bullying the carefree empire that provoked me. How dare you speak rudely in front of my wife? You deserve to die. Li Lingtian withdrew his 100 dragons' power. His eyes flashed with a sharp glint as he spoke indifferently with a smirk. He looked at the remaining foreign experts. At this moment, these experts who had escaped and returned even had the heart to die. Why did they come back? They were actually courting death. All of this seemed to have taken a long time. However, it had only taken a dozen seconds for Li Lingtian to kill Zhao Siyu and the remaining pseudo-martial god and 9th heaven powerhouses. All the experts understood that Zhao Siyu's death was the most aggrieved. He did not even know who his opponent was and died just like that. Furthermore, they knew that provoking Li Lingtian and his wife was akin to courting death. In the past, when Li Lingtian was still a martial emperor, he was already unrivaled. Now that he had reached the rank of a martial saint, his cultivation was even more overbearing. The sound wave instantly killed the fake martial god and controlled the most overbearing power of 100 dragons among the martial saints. It instantly killed several fake martial god and 9th heaven experts. In the future, who else could be Li Lingxin's match? However, all the experts from the Carefree Sacred City and the Carefree Dynasty were extremely excited. That was because Li Lingtian had finally come out. Moreover, Li Lingtian was so terrifying. Now, the era of the Carefree Dynasty was about to arrive. It was an era that belonged to Li Lingtian and the Carefree Dynasty. For a moment, the space fell silent. There was no longer any sound. However, this silence felt a trace of strangeness. A strange aura filled the space. Li Lingxin's gaze slowly shifted to the void. Chapter 779. The martial god is pathless. Sensing the strange aura, all the powerhouses followed Li Lingxin's gaze and looked into the void. However, there was nothing unusual in the air. The atmosphere in the space was getting more and more oppressive. Most of the experts present were from Liberty Sacred City. There were only a few hundred experts who had escaped. In front of the current strength of Liberty Sacred City, they were like ants and had no ability to resist at all. Even though they knew that the outcome would not be good, no one dared to run away. This was because running away from Li Lingtian at this moment would be courting death. Unless they found a chance, their escape would only provoke Li Lingtian. It was impossible to escape from Li Lingtian. Since you are here, please show yourself. I have been waiting for you for a long time. With your status, do you still want to launch a sneak attack? Li Lingxin's solemn expression turned calm as a casual smile appeared on his lips. He looked at the void and said indifferently. He took a step into the void.
It seemed like a step, but he had crossed 100 miles. He left Liberty Sacred City far away because he did not want the war to affect Liberty Sacred City. When he spoke, his expression was calm and confident, as if he had seen the expert hidden in the void. Upon hearing Li Lingshan's words, all the powerhouses were astonished. In this place, there were countless heaven-defying experts. In their divine senses, there was an expert hidden in the sky. They actually did not know how powerful this expert was. Thinking of how terrifying this hidden expert was, everyone's expressions changed. Li Lingtian could kill a 9th firmament martial saint and a pseudo-martial god in seconds, but he was serious about the powerhouses in the void. The other party must be extremely powerful. Ha! A surprised voice sounded in the air. Amidst his surprise, he was obviously surprised that Li Lingtian had seen through his movements. The appearance of this exclamation made all the experts understand that there was indeed an expert in the sky. All of a sudden, they started to be on guard. After all, such experts were earth-shattering. When they attacked, they would turn the world upside down. A black cloud appeared in the air. The black cloud in the sky was particularly eye-catching. The black cloud slowly turned into a human figure. This change made countless experts feel afraid. This was because this was the first time he had seen such a situation. Humans were naturally afraid of the unknown. Soon, the black cloud turned into a tall, bewitching man. The man's body emitted a terrifying demonic aura, as if he was a demonic beast in human form. "Junior, kill yourself." The tall man appeared in the air and swept his gaze across all the powerhouses before his eyes finally landed on Li Lingtian. The corner of his mouth revealed a trace of disdain. He did not take a martial saint powerhouse seriously at all. He spoke indifferently, as if he was a supreme being giving orders. Even though he was shocked that Li Lingtian could see through his tracks, he did not take it to heart. A first firmament martial saint junior was nothing more than an ant. With that said, he looked at Li Lingtian with a cold gaze. He looked down at Li Lingtian and waited for his reaction. Demonic cultivator. First level of the war god realm. Li Lingtian did not mind. He looked at the tall man in the air with a grave expression. In the past, he had encountered martial god experts twice, and both of them were stronger than this man. However, of the martial god experts he had met before, one had been killed. The other was that girl from the Mystic Moon Empire. He wondered what identity that girl had to be so powerful. After meeting the two martial gods, he more or less had a little understanding of the martial god's strength. It was definitely not something that any martial saint could compare to. Even he could not compare to it at all. However, at the very least, he would not tremble just because he saw a martial god powerhouse. This was because he had already seen two martial god powerhouses. Moreover, he had even fought and dealt with martial god powerhouses before. The tall man in front of him was also a martial god expert. A true martial god expert. The martial god was the most powerful existence in the divine martial continent. With a wave of his hand, he could turn the world upside down and tear the void apart. In the divine martial continent, the martial god was a godlike existence. It was difficult to even see him. He did not expect that a martial god expert would actually attack him this time. It seemed that he had already attracted the attention of a martial god expert. Li Lingtian looked at the martial god powerhouse in front of him with a heavy heart. Even if he had reached the martial saint realm, he was only at the first firmament of the martial saint realm. Not to mention the first sky of the martial saint realm, even a pseudo-martial god was on a completely different level compared to a martial god. The natural moat of this realm was forever insurmountable. Although he knew that there were many 9th heavenly layer martial saints who had come to take advantage of the situation, and that there was a pseudo-martial god who had attacked him, he was confident that he could kill all of them. However, he did not expect that a martial god expert would really appear. He had calculated in his heart that the probability of a martial god appearing was only 1 in 10,000. He did not expect that this 1 in 10,000 would finally appear. Now, there was no other way. The only way was to adapt to the situation. "I'll let you die with an understanding. This venerable self has no way. Don't die without knowing who wiped you out. I'll give you 3 seconds to commit suicide." When Wu Dao said his name, his face revealed a proud expression. They stared coldly at Li Lingtian and the rest of the powerhouses.
At this moment, tens of thousands of powerhouses and millions of soldiers from Liberty Holy City were staring at Li Lingtian and Wu Dao. Wu Dao, war god Pathless. Li Lingtian was shocked. This name was even scarier than meeting a martial god powerhouse. Although there were very few martial god realm experts in Xianzhou and they could be counted on 10 fingers, this Wu Dao was indeed an extremely terrifying existence. Li Lingtian knew a thing or two about the martial god powerhouses in Xianzhou. This Wu Dao was definitely the most terrifying one, mainly because of his cultivation technique and methods. His methods were vicious and terrifying, and his shocking cultivation made countless martial god experts retreat. He did not expect this terrifying existence to actually come to Liberty Sacred City and become his opponent. Thinking of this, he began to feel bitter. He had just broken through and encountered such a heaven-defying expert. This was also luck. 3. Wu Dao was pleased when he saw Li Lingtian's shock and the stunned expressions of the other powerhouses. Before Li Lingtian could recover from his shock, he started counting. In his mind, as long as Li Lingtian did not commit suicide, he would eliminate him and obtain the elixir from Li Lingtian. In this world, what could move him was also only a Tier 8 medicinal pill. 2. Wu Dao's voice became even colder, and his gaze became extremely sharp. The aura around his body also began to skyrocket. In front of this shocking aura, the space began to tremble, as if this aura wanted to destroy the space. Is the war god very impressive? Li Lingtian's expression twisted. His eyes flashed with a bright light. In this situation, he already understood that this Wu Dao had to kill him. Since that was the case, rather than being killed, it was better to make a move first. Otherwise, he would be passively beaten up. In front of the martial god, losing the initiative would be courting death. He would not even have the chance to retaliate. The aura around his body also soared. His aura, which was originally without any aura, surged crazily. The terrifying aura turned from a martial monarch realm expert to a martial saint realm expert. The shocking aura shook the sky. When he was a martial supreme, his aura was already heaven-defying. After becoming a martial saint, his aura and cultivation were countless times stronger than before. The difference between the two was completely different. Heavenly Devil Region. True Dragon Body Protection. Heaven and Earth Reincarnation. Li Lingtian glared at the other party coldly. The golden core in his dantian spun once and a terrifying amount of true essence surged out, unleashing a terrifying power. The Heavenly Demon Region was used. The true Dragon Body Protection protected his body, and the Heaven and Earth Reincarnation art mobilized his true essence to circulate rapidly. The air began to tremble in the face of Li Lingtian's might. At the same time, the limitless feather coat on his body was activated. He definitely couldn't afford to be careless in the face of the war god. The strength of 100 dragons. After all the defense and power burst out, the terrifying power barely protected his body. He stretched out his hand, and the void trembled. A destructive power arrived in his hand. The power of 100 dragons was the most terrifying and mysterious talent of a martial saint powerhouse. Initially, Li Lingtian could not obtain such a power. However, after he obtained the saint origin power, he managed to comprehend the power of 100 dragons due to the true dragon's body protection. Damn it! Wu Dao's expression was ugly as anger erupted from his entire body. A mere first sky of the martial saint realm had ignored him when he was counting. He even responded to him with terrifying strength. This was an insult and an unforgivable provocation. With a furious roar, the aura of his entire body erupted crazily. The terrifying aura of a martial god expert was fully displayed at this moment. An indescribable destructive aura blasted toward Li Lingtian like a whirlwind. The speed and power were far beyond that of a martial saint powerhouse. This was because the might of the martial god was simply instantaneous. Faced with Li Lingtian's aura that surpassed that of a martial saint, Wu Dao did not let his guard down. He wanted to crush Li Lingtian to death with his aura so that he could eliminate the hatred in his heart. Only by killing Li Lingtian with a simple force could he avenge himself. However, just as he unleashed his shocking martial god's aura, Li Lingtian had already unleashed his 100 dragon strength. In the air, a destructive power ignored the distance of space and directly bombarded Wu Dao. The two of them were 200 miles apart, But this distance was not a distance at all for a martial saint and a martial god. The shocking power of 100 dragons quickly bombarded Wu Dao's aura. The space trembled as if the world was about to be destroyed. All the experts were stunned when they saw the scene in the sky. Chapter 780. Grand Heavenly Divine Light. Divine Phoenix Power. The martial god's aura clashed with Li Lingshan's power of 100 dragons. The power of 100 dragons was known as the most powerful innate ability among martial saints. However, when it collided with the aura of a martial god expert, no one knew the outcome. After all, martial god experts were the most powerful warriors in the divine martial continent. They were like gods. The power of 100 dragons was the strongest innate skill of a martial saint powerhouse. Its power was extremely terrifying. The pinnacle of the battle had appeared at this moment. Boom! In the space, two terrifying existences collided, causing a destructive explosion. Kacha! The ground was strangely torn open, and the hole kept expanding. This opening instantly became 10 miles wide and 1,000 miles long. In the air, the power of 100 dragons disappeared. Wu Dao's aura also trembled, but it did not collapse. Li Lingshan's body was thrown away. The destructive 100 dragon power was not able to break through his opponent's momentum under Li Lingshan's full-powered attack. Instead, it was bounced away. This situation shocked all the experts. They could not accept it at all. Li Lingtian was a heaven-defying powerhouse. When he was a martial supreme, he had killed a 9th firmament martial saint. When he became a martial saint, he killed a pseudo-martial god instantly. But now, he was defeated by the other party's aura. However, he immediately reacted. After all, the other party was a martial god expert, a godlike existence. No matter how powerful a martial god was, he was not a match for a martial god. Whoosh! An uproar broke out as they looked at Wu Dao in shock. What kind of expert could defeat this martial god? If they couldn't even break his aura, it was impossible to defeat him, let alone kill him. After Li Lingtian was thrown 100 miles away, he stood steadily in the air and stared at Wu Dao with a cold gaze. He was extremely shocked. This martial god expert was too terrifying. The two martial gods he had encountered in the past were also heaven-defying powerful. However, at that time, he had not truly witnessed the strength of the martial god and had underestimated the terror of the martial god. Now, it seemed that the difference between a martial saint and a martial god was like the difference between heaven and earth. However, he didn't stop. He wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth with one hand. Then, his body flashed and a stream of light appeared in front of him. The flowing light transformed into 3 exquisite small swords. Heavenly Sword, 3 Heavenly Swords, the Sky Universe Sword, the Heavenly Fault Sword, and the Heavenly One Sword. The 3 heavenly swords were constantly spinning in front of him. The 3 heavenly swords exuded a terrifying pressure that surpassed that of a holy weapon. The space was constantly torn apart by the destructive pressure. At this moment, Wu Dao was attracted by the heavenly swords in Li Lingshan's hands. A saint weapon that surpassed a divine weapon was indeed not simple. Even an expert like Wu Dao did not have a divine weapon. Even if he did, it was as precious as a life treasure. He would not use it unless he had no other choice. Super Saint Weapon. So the heavenly sword has fallen into your hands. However, this is your fate. When you meet me, your legend is destined to become history. Vast heavenly divine light destroy the heavens and earth. Wu Dao looked at the 3 celestial artifacts in front of Li Lingtian with a greedy expression. At the same time, he felt a tinge of fear as he could tell that one of the 3 heavenly swords in front of Li Lingtian was the heavenly sword. As a martial god, he naturally understood the details behind the heavenly sword. Moreover, with the 3 heavenly swords gathered together and Li Lingshan's terrifying strength, he dared not be careless. Even though he had repelled Li Lingtian with his aura, he was still surprised by Li Lingshan's strength. A martial saint was so powerful that he had completely surpassed the definition of the divine martial continent. If it was any other time, just this aura alone was enough to destroy a martial saint powerhouse. This aura was one of his trump cards. Outsiders naturally did not know about it. The aura around his body soared, and the terrifying true essence destroyed the surrounding air. A halo enveloped him. The mysterious true essence of a martial god expert was not something that a martial saint could understand at all. The world began to tremble in front of this true essence. When his true essence reached a limit, he waved his hand and a ray of light appeared in his palm. It was a magical light. The light carried the might of the heavens, as if it wanted to illuminate everything in this world. However, this majestic might was not to destroy the darkness, but to destroy everything in the world. All the experts were shocked. This was the true name of a martial god expert. When he broke through, he obtained his true name, Divine Light. This Divine Light was like the inner core of a demon beast. It could unleash heaven-defying power, but if the life source Divine Light was injured, its master would also be injured. When they saw Wu Dao unleashing his natal grand heavenly Divine Light, all the powerhouses knew that Wu Dao was ready to kill Li Ling Tian in one strike to prevent any more trouble. Boom! The heavenly Divine Light was one of the most terrifying lights in the world. Its power could destroy the world. Wu Dao controlled this vast sky Divine Light. He was a powerful existence among the martial gods. Even experts of the same level did not dare to provoke him. Every martial god powerhouse had their own heaven-defying bloodline or innate talent. The martial god was almost a godlike existence. The things he cultivated no longer belonged to others. Basically, he had to rely on himself to slowly figure them out. It was unique, unlike martial saints who cultivated other people's cultivation techniques and did not even have their own innate talent. Wu Dao's innate talent was the grand heavenly Divine Light. Lord Tianmu of the Divine Continent's Tian family controlled the sky screen Golden Flame. After him, the juniors could continue to inherit the Golden Flame and become bloodline-like existences. When the vast heavenly Divine Light appeared, it suddenly expanded and the entire space was enveloped by this Divine Light. In this world it was his Wu Dao's territory. In this place Wu Dao was the ruler. The shocking might and terrifying power made all the experts in the world tremble. If it were not for Li Lingshan's presence as their master, all the powerhouses would have bowed down to him involuntarily. He was a godlike existence that could make all powerhouses below the martial god level submit and worship him. The war god controlled a region of the world, so he naturally formed a domain. The grand heavenly Divine Light is indeed powerful. Then try my Divine Phoenix power. There's an azure dragon in the east and a Divine Phoenix in the north. The power of the Divine Phoenix. Li Ling Tian looked at the grand heavenly Divine Light with a horrified expression. However, the shock slowly subsided. On the contrary, there was excitement and madness on his face. Feeling the terror of the vast heavenly Divine Light, his fighting spirit soared. In the past, he was a martial emperor powerhouse who could sweep across a martial saint. However, after becoming a martial saint, his cultivation had reached an unimaginable level. He had been thinking about what kind of expert could contend with him, and the loneliness of an expert had also appeared in his heart. Martial saints and martial emperors were two completely different worlds. After becoming a martial saint, he had mastered the power of Saint Qj and obtained the power of 100 dragons. However, no one could have imagined that he had mastered the power of the Divine Phoenix, which had not appeared in the Divine Martial Continent for thousands of years. In his memory, no one in the Divine Martial Continent or the Upper Realm had been able to control the power of the Divine Phoenix for tens of millions of years. As a super powerhouse of the Upper Realm and a flaming sacred body, he admired the power of the Divine Phoenix to the extreme. The Divine Phoenix was of the fire attribute and was born to control the raging flames between heaven and earth. The Divine Phoenix's power condensed the Divine Phoenix fire essence and controlled the flames of heaven and earth. Li Ling Tian was a flaming sacred body. After reaching the martial saint level, he had obtained 5 mystical powers with the terrifying 5-element sacred body. The power of 100 dragons and saint origin were also 2 of the 5 types of energy, while the Divine Phoenix's power belonged to the fire attribute, so he naturally had control over it. Saint Qi was of the earth attribute, the power of 100 dragons was of the metal attribute, and the power of the Divine Phoenix was of the fire attribute. With a flip of his hand, a mysterious and obscure hand gesture appeared. This hand gesture remained unchanged. He placed the hand gesture in front of his chest, and his eyes revealed a fiery red light. Boom! With an explosion, a shocking power of flames erupted. With Li Ling Tian at the center, flaming phoenixes were formed. The flaming divine phoenix was completely formed from the power of flames. In front of this divine phoenix, the world seemed to be on fire. The flaming divine phoenixes within a radius of 10 miles quickly condensed into a 100-meter-tall phoenix. Li Lingtian had already melted into the divine phoenix flames. Between the heavens and the earth, a dazzling fiery phoenix floated in the air. As it flapped its wings, the heavens and the earth trembled, and the air burned. Chi-chi, chi-chi, boom, 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 boom. In the sky was clear, but there was a destructive divine light in this space. The divine light was like the descent of heaven's might. The source of the divine light was Wudeo's right hand. Wudeo's face also revealed a shocked expression. A martial saint who had just broken through, not only had he obtained the Saint QJ, but he also had the strength of 100 dragons. Now that he had used the divine phoenix's strength, if he didn't kill such a heaven-defying genius, no one would be able to suppress him in a few years. Other than the divine light, the most dazzling thing was a meter-long divine phoenix flame. The fiery red wings flapped. With each flap, the power of the divine phoenix became stronger, but the divine phoenix became smaller and smaller. All the experts understood that this was a kind of compression. A series of destructive sounds appeared in the air. The sound of raging flames and divine wind burning the world and the sound of divine light filling the space intertwined. At this moment, countless experts displayed their strongest defense to protect themselves. The experts and army of Liberty Sacred City were excited, crazy, and worried. Li Lingtian was their master and their soul. However, Li Lingtian had fought against a martial god as a martial saint. Such a legend was a legend in the divine martial continent. No martial saint would dare to fight against a martial god. Now, not only had Li Lingtian done it, but the battle between the two of them was absolutely heaven-defying judging from the horrifying situation. Any victory would be a miserable victory. At that moment, Wudou flipped his right hand and a destructive divine light came crashing down on Li Lingtian. Under the reversal of the divine light, the sky quickly trembled and tore apart. Endless astral winds ravaged this almost broken space. Countless experts were filled with horror and despair. I recommend my friend's 5-kill fantasy work, Sacred Hand Mystique Venerable. It's worth a look for the updated book, friends. Chapter 781. The Power That Makes the Martial God Fear. 1. The destructive grand heavenly divine light came crashing down on Li Lingtian. The power of the divine light was beyond the imagination of a powerhouse. Its speed was so fast that it seemed to ignore the distance between them as it arrived before Li Lingtian. It was at this moment that Li Lingtian's divine phoenix power unleashed its astonishing might. The fiery phoenix quickly shrank and flew toward the light. In the blink of an eye, the divine light and the phoenix collided, and the sky trembled. All the experts were like ants on a hot pan. The earth was calm, and the space was emitting a destructive aura. Other than this destructive aura, the entire space was still at this moment. The divine light illuminated the sky for thousands of miles. The dazzling light closed the eyes of all the experts. In the blink of an eye, the fiery red divine wind had already entered the light, and the destructive power of burning quickly eroded the divine light. 9 Suns Sacred Flame. Limitless Holy Flame. Fire Dragon's Heart. Earth Core White Flame. Immediately, Li Lingtian's voice rang out from the divine light. The divine phoenix did not stop at all as it flew rapidly into the divine light as if it was trying to penetrate the world of the divine light. As soon as Li Lingtian 1's voice faded away, the originally terrifying divine phoenix became even more terrifying. The color of its body was constantly changing. Kacha kacha. Rumble. Boom, boom. The space began to tremble, and the air continued to distort. This space was like a mirror that had been broken, and it began to shatter inch by inch. Moreover, shocking explosions kept appearing. The divine light also trembled, and the flames on the divine phoenix's body began to weaken. It was as if he was at the end of a powerful attack. He did not retreat and flew straight ahead. Boom! All the experts looked at the raging flame divine phoenix with a miserable expression. No matter how powerful the raging flame divine phoenix was, it had reached its limit. It was no match for the divine light. The divine phoenix was Li Lingtian's divine phoenix power. If the divine phoenix was destroyed, Li Lingtian would be injured as well. At this moment, something unexpected happened. A strange tremor came from the divine phoenix in the divine light. Suddenly, there was an explosion. The entire space was completely destroyed, and endless astral winds wreaked havoc in the air. Puff! Puff! Two sounds of blood spurting out rang out. The divine light disappeared, and the divine phoenix also disappeared at this moment. Li Lingshan's body swayed as he fell to the ground with a trail of blood at the corner of his mouth. He only managed to stabilize his body after falling 100 meters from the ground. He only managed to stabilize himself after a while of swaying. He floated in the air with a pale expression on his face. At the same time, Wu Dao, who was in the void, had blood trickling down the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with rage as if he wanted to swallow Li Lingtian alive. Similarly, his face was pale, but more than that, he was shocked. The vast heavenly divine light he had just unleashed was meant to eliminate Li Lingtian in one strike. Once the vast heavenly divine light was unleashed, even a martial god powerhouse would be injured. Even a ninth firmament martial saint or a false martial god would be annihilated. Although Li Lingtian was overbearing, he was only a first heaven martial saint. The grand heavenly divine light was more than enough to eliminate Li Lingtian. Before he used the grand heavenly divine light, he had already understood Li Lingtian. Li Lingshan's terror was beyond the realm of a martial saint, so he used his innate talent, the grand heavenly divine light, right away. But even so, under the vast heavenly divine light, it was actually blocked. How could he tolerate such a thing? In the air, Li Lingshan's figure retreated rapidly. As he retreated, he ascended and finally stopped when he was at the same height as Wu Dao. The two of them floated in the air and looked at each other. The air was also extremely quiet. The divine phoenix's power that no one has cultivated in the divine martial continent for tens of millions of years, is now under your control. But what did you use later? That power doesn't belong to you. The true essence on Wu Dao's body circulated rapidly, and the spiritual qi in the space continuously surged towards him. His entire person formed the center of this world, shaking the world with his own strength. It was as if he was the master of this world. The aura of destruction continued to rise. Heaven and earth changed color. The originally cloudless sky now had destructive fire clouds, and a strange sign appeared in space. He asked Li Lingtian as he unleashed the mysterious martial god's power. There was a curious look in his eyes. Although Li Lingshan's divine phoenix power was heaven-defying, his cultivation was too low to unleash its full potential. Furthermore, the gap between the two was like heaven and earth. The martial god was a terrifying existence, but Li Lingtian was able to use the divine phoenix's power to close the gap between them. It was already heaven-defying. If Li Lingshan's cultivation base had been a little higher, the outcome of the battle between the two would have been unknown. However, Li Lingtian was about to be destroyed by the divine light in the end. However, he did not expect Li Lingtian to unleash a strange power at the end. This power did not belong to Li Lingtian at all. It was precisely because of this force that his divine light was destroyed. Although Li Lingtian was injured, he was also injured when his divine light was destroyed. This mysterious power was what he feared and feared the most. It was also what he was most curious about. Aren't you a martial god expert? You don't even know this power. I'm really speechless. Li Lingshan's lips curled into an excited smile as if he had discovered a new continent. That was because the power he had just displayed was the destructive aura he had obtained in the God's Fall mountain range. This destructive aura was also divine. The divine martial profound heaven sword also had this kind of aura. Li Lingtian stored all the destruction cyclone into the divine dragon ring, leaving him no chance to refine it. However, the last time he had taken away the divine martial black heavenly sword in the divine martial hall, he had already obtained countless mysterious destructive auras. This mysterious destructive aura was divine qi. In his previous life, he was a mighty expert from the upper realm. He was a true godlike existence, so he naturally had divine qi in his body. Now that he was a martial saint, he had revealed a trace of his mysterious divine qi. When he was about to be destroyed, the divine qi had unleashed its self-protection. When it burst out, it destroyed the divine light, allowing Li Lingtian to escape the calamity. Li Lingtian was naturally excited to discover this power because he had a trump card against martial god powerhouses. In the future, he would think of a way to refine the mysterious cyclone and obtain the divine chi. When he used the divine martial black heavenly sword, he would become a terrifying existence that the martial god experts feared like a tiger. Now, he naturally wouldn't say it. A faint smile appeared on his face. His smile was unfathomable. Moreover, the smile was so calm that it made Wu Dao feel suffocated. He was afraid that Li Lingtian would use the mysterious power again. If that happened, he would be injured or even killed even if he managed to kill Li Lingtian. Li Lingshan's lips curled into a smile as he circulated his true essence to the maximum. With a wave of his hand, the 3 heavenly swords that he had summoned appeared in front of him. Initially, he wanted to use the heaven-destroying sword formation. However, after discovering the terror of the vast heavenly divine light, he did not dare to use the heaven-destroying sword formation anymore. This was because the power of the divine light was not a physical attack, but a physical attack. Therefore, he gave up on using the 3 heavenly sword roars to unleash the power of the divine phoenix. Now, even if the other party didn't use the divine light, he could still use the 3 heavenly swords. The true essence in his body was circulated to the extreme, and the 5-element sacred body was also activated. At this time, the will of the 5 elements raged in the air. With the appearance of the 5 elements' will, the world quickly regained its balance. 2 separate worlds were formed between the 2 of them. Although Li Lingtian was a martial saint powerhouse, his cultivation of the 5 elements created a separate world. Wu Dao did not cultivate the 5 elements' perfection and thus could not be in an independent world. However, he was a martial god powerhouse and had reached a pinnacle. The cultivation technique he used would not be affected by Li Lingshan's. Hence, 2 worlds were formed. Any other powerhouse would have been affected by Li Lingshan's 5 elements Dao will. Tens of millions of troops quickly retreated. At this moment, the experts of Liberty's Sacred City also joined forces to cast a defensive array formation. They were all shocked that Li Lingtian had just broken through to the martial saint realm, yet he was already fighting a martial god. The 2 of them had already fought twice. The first time was a showdown between aura and the power of 100 dragons. Li Lingtian was at a disadvantage. The second time was when Li Lingshan's divine phoenix power clashed with the grand heavenly divine light. Both of them were injured. Although Li Lingtian was at a disadvantage, such a result was already heaven-defying for a martial saint battling a martial god. A martial saint versus a martial god. This was a heaven-defying battle. This was a counterattack by a martial saint, and it was also a battle of destruction for this martial saint. All the powerhouses were worried for Li Lingtian. After all, a martial saint was just a martial saint, and a martial god was also a martial god. They were not something a martial saint could compare to. Don't tell me you have control over the divine chi? Wu Dao's expression froze for a moment after Li Lingshan's words before it turned into fear and disbelief. Although Li Lingtian did not explain it clearly, it was clear from Li Lingshan's words that the strange force from earlier was extremely overbearing even though it was small. This made him feel fearful. Only the legendary divine chi could be so powerful. The martial god was known as a godlike existence in the divine martial continent. However, the war god was ultimately not a true god, but he was able to sense and come into contact with these levels. When he thought of this, he could not help but exclaim. You know yourself whether it's divine or not. You've come to Liberty Sacred City today. No matter what the reason is, I can't keep you here. With a smile on his face, Li Lingshan's 5 elements will balance the heaven and earth, forming an independent world. At the same time, Li Lingshan's 5-element Dao will gradually shifted. Metal Dao intent. His expression was calm, but he was serious. His eyes followed Wu Dao, and the corners of his mouth curled up as he coldly shouted. Immediately, the destructive will of the way of metal exploded in the air. The entire world was filled with the destructive will of metal. At this moment, all the experts trembled. The will of the great path of metal eroded the hearts of the people, causing the consciousness of the experts to tremble. The 3 heavenly swords sensed the existence of the will of the great path of metal, and began to tremble and rotate. Moreover, this trembling was a trembling of excitement.
Chapter 782. Void Destruction, Dragon Elephant. Transformation. The three heavenly swords trembled excitedly in front of Li Lingtian. Li Lingshan's gaze slowly shifted to the three heavenly swords as his aura changed accordingly. The will of the five elements relied on heaven and earth. His body emitted sword will, a shocking sword will. He was like a sharp sword that stood proudly between heaven and earth. Power of the martial god. Dragon Elephant Transformation. Wu Dao's lips curled into a cruel expression. The more powerful Li Lingtian was, the more excited he was. As long as he could get his hands on Li Lingshan's treasures, wealth, and heaven-defying cultivation techniques, he would be able to improve his cultivation base. The terrifying martial god power was unleashed. After the martial god power was the Dragon Elephant Transformation. Under the power of the martial god, all experts were ants. As long as one's cultivation was below the martial god realm, they could completely use the power of the martial god realm to overwhelm other martial artists. To him, even though Li Lingtian was heaven-defying, it was merely a trick. If Li Lingtian did not unleash that mysterious power, he was 100% sure that he could kill Li Lingtian. Roar! In the sky, two mysterious forces appeared. These two forces had the power of dragons and elephants, and they were extremely terrifying. Li Lingshan's independent world began to tremble in the face of the Dragon Elephant Transformation. Li Lingshan's expression changed drastically in such a situation. He never expected that the five elements' will would be shaken by the opponent. The martial god was indeed a martial god. His strength and cultivation were not something a martial saint like him could compare to. Li Lingshan's lips curled into a smile as he watched the destructive Dragon Elephant Transformation hurtling toward him. With a flash, the three heavenly swords transformed into giant swords. Three swords as one. Heaven-destroying sword formation. Void destruction. Li Lingtian said calmly. Immediately, the three heavenly swords quickly merged together. When the three swords merged, a destructive sword chi erupted in the air, tearing through space. All the experts felt the destructive power of the sword chi and were shocked. Their eyes were filled with dullness. They could not believe that there was such a domineering sword chi in this world. After the three swords merged into one, the shocking sword chi tore through space. As Li Lingtian gestured, he performed a strange sword technique. He held his long sword with one hand and slashed it in the direction of Wu Dao. Suddenly, a destructive sword light tore through the air, and the space in front of the sword light turned into nothingness. Without the slightest obstruction of space, the sword light struck straight at Pathless. In front of the sword light, a strange black hole appeared. This black hole seemed to want to devour the world. The power in sword light that could destroy the void shook the hearts of all the experts. On the other side of the sky, the power of the Dragon Elephant Transformation also roared. Kacha! Walala! Rumble! Before the two extremely destructive attacks collided, the space had already begun to shatter. The space shattered like a mirror, and a loud boom sounded. At this moment, the end of the world arrived, and the world changed colors. In this strange and terrifying scene, Li Lingtian and Wu Dao hovered in the air like two god of war. In the sky, other than the destructive light flashing from the sword light and the power of the Dragon Elephant Transformation, everything else was gray and there was no light at all. One world, two rulers forming two independent worlds. The destructive attacks unleashed by the rulers of the two worlds tore through space. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded as the two terrifying attacks finally collided. The moment the two attacks collided, a shocking light exploded. The destructive and dazzling light lit up the world. All the experts once again blocked this dazzling light with their hands, and their divine senses were also isolated. The earth trembled and collapsed. The spatial gales raged and tore through the defenses of countless experts and armies. Kacha at this moment, the destructive light carried a terrifying power and swept through the entire space. Li Lingtian and Wu Dao became the center of the light and both of them disappeared from the world. Everywhere the light passed, everything was destroyed. The air began to distort but Li Lingtian and Wu Dao were nowhere to be seen. Countless experts fell like rain. Some of the weaker experts directly turned into nothingness and disappeared into thin air, completely disappearing from this world. Whoosh! As the last trace of wind fell, the screams of the experts also disappeared. The world quieted down. The area 10,000 miles away from Liberty Sacred City was in a mess. The entire area within a radius of several 100,000 miles had been razed to the ground. There was no sign of life. The mountains and peaks could no longer be seen. Not a single person existed, because within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, they had all disappeared. Although the tens of millions of soldiers had retreated, millions of soldiers had been destroyed. All the defenses on Liberty Sacred City were shattered. Some experts had blood in the corners of their mouths, and their faces were filled with fear. Silence. Silence. The powerhouses of Liberty Sacred City all had expectant expressions on their faces. They were anticipating Li Lingshan's reappearance. If Li Lingtian were to fall, Liberty Sacred City would be wiped out as well. Tang Qingyue and the other girls looked up at the sky with concern and worry on their faces. However, they knew that Li Lingtian had not perished. If he had, they would have sensed it. However, there was no trace of Li Lingshan's aura at the moment. It was unknown where Li Lingtian had gone. Boom! Just as all the powerhouses were anticipating Li Lingshan's appearance, the ground exploded and a cloud of dust rose into the sky. Countless eyes were fixed on the rising dust cloud, hoping that it was Li Lingtian. However, many powerhouses were stunned when they saw the powerhouse in the dust cloud. Their eyes were filled with shock and fear, but more than that, they were worried. He saw a faint halo around Wu Da's body. He was floating in the air unscathed, but there was blood at the corner of his mouth. His entire body was emitting a terrifying demonic qi. The demonic qi coiled around his body, making him look extremely terrifying. The layer of light on his body was emitted by demonic qi. The terrifying power just now was blocked by this halo. Seeing this situation, all the experts became even more worried. Since the martial god powerhouse did not die in this battle, something must have gone wrong for Li Lingtian, a martial saint powerhouse, to not appear until now. After all, no matter how heaven-defying a martial saint's cultivation was, he was still not a match for a martial god. Moreover, the attack just now had destroyed the world. It was not something a martial saint could withstand at all. Demonic cultivator. At this moment, someone shouted, his voice trembling. A martial god-level demon cultivator was several times more powerful than experts of the same level. They never expected that this martial god's Wu Dao was actually a demon cultivator. He had never heard of Wu Dao being a monster cultivator before. It must be because no one had ever forced Wu Dao to use a monster cultivation method. Now, he was fighting a martial saint, and he was actually using a demonic cultivation technique. Humph, if you recognize my identity, all of you will die. The entire carefree dynasty will be destroyed. Li Lingtian will vanish into thin air. Let's see what else you can do. Just wait to die. Wu Dao's expression was calm, but when his cultivation was seen through, his expression instantly turned cold. He looked at all the experts with a sharp gaze. He had never expected that this martial saint would be so powerful that he could not kill him even after using a few trump cards. In the end, it even injured him. Moreover, it even used the demon cultivation technique that he had never used before. This demon cultivation technique was a life-saving method. It would not be known to any experts. The dragon-elephant transformation and Li Lingshan's void destruction had collided. Initially, they thought that they would be able to kill Li Lingtian. However, they did not expect to be hit by the halo and almost vanish into thin air. In the end, they only managed to survive by using their demonic cultivation technique. Under such circumstances, he had almost perished, so Li Lingtian must have vanished into thin air. After being seen through, they naturally had to kill him to silence him. The tens of millions of soldiers and billions of citizens of Liberty Holy City must have heard it. As a martial god expert, he naturally did not mind destroying the entire kingdom. After saying that, he circulated his true essence, and a terrifying demonic qi spread out, filling this space. Rumble! 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 The space was torn apart. The power of the demon cultivator was displayed at this moment. A cruel expression appeared on Wu Dao's face. He looked at the experts from Liberty Sacred City as if they were dead. After all, he was a martial god who controlled heaven-defying demon cultivation techniques. It was simply a piece of cake for him to kill some martial saints. Tearing space. The terrifying power and demonic aura wreaked havoc in the space. Wu Dao waved his hands and made a tearing gesture. Immediately, the space began to tear. The torn space began to spread towards the experts of Liberty's sacred city. Moreover, the world was frozen, and all the experts could not move at all. The might of the martial god was fully displayed at this moment. Ah, ah, ah. Screams sounded as countless experts began to bleed from their 7 orifices. They began to fall down like rain. Sir, you've lost your status. At this moment, a familiar voice sounded in the air. The appearance of this voice filled the atmosphere with an extremely strange atmosphere. The expressions of all the experts turned from despair to hope, as if they were drowning people who were grasping at a life-saving straw. This was because this was the voice they had been looking forward to the most, and the person they had been looking forward to the most. Hearing this voice, the worried expressions on Tang Qingyue and the others' faces finally disappeared. Instead, their beautiful eyes revealed happy expressions. However, the expression on Wu Dao's face changed and became extremely solemn. He stopped tearing space with both hands and looked at the void. He did not dare to be careless anymore. He would rather give up on the idea of wiping out the Xiaoyao dynasty than be careless in front of this voice. This was because the owner of the voice had injured him. He had thought that he had fallen, but now he had appeared. To be able to survive in front of such a terrifying destructive halo was already beyond his imagination. Chapter 783. Heavenly Demon Body, 1. The power of the spatial tear disappeared, and all the experts fell to the ground powerlessly. However, at this moment, they were all looking at the void, their eyes filled with anticipation and excitement. Wu Dao's expression was unsightly as he was utterly shocked by Li Lingxian's strength. As a martial god, he was able to withstand the attack with his terrifying demonic cultivator's defense. As a martial saint, Li Lingtian managed to survive as well. Moreover, it was not hard to tell from the sound that Li Lingtian was not seriously injured. This situation naturally shocked him. Could it be that this world had gone crazy? A martial saint's strength was actually able to truly fight against a martial god? Li Lingtian. The expression on Wu Dao's face had already become serious, and he was no longer as relaxed as he was at the beginning. At that moment, Li Lingtian had truly become his opponent and a threat. If they did not kill Li Lingtian this time, it would be a huge problem in the future. He had become a martial saint at such a young age, and his strength was comparable to that of a martial god. If he was given a few more years, what kind of expert in the divine martial continent could suppress him? Therefore, no matter what the price was, he had to kill it. When he finished speaking, his eyes flashed with determination, and a cruel expression appeared on his face. The remaining true essence in his body circulated, and instantly, a destructive demonic qi soared into the sky. Regardless of Li Lingxian's current situation, he had to take the initiative to kill him first. He had to activate his cultivation technique and kill Li Lingtian when he came out. This was a first for the war god. In front of him, a martial saint was simply an ant. He had never taken it to heart, and he had never thought that he would have to fight a martial saint one day. He did not expect that a martial saint would threaten him one day, and even force him to use his demon cultivation technique and take the lead. Heavenly Demon Body. A shocking demonic aura burst out, tearing the entire space apart. The power of this demonic aura was even more terrifying than the spatial tear that Wu Dao had used at the beginning. With a roar, the entire space seemed to be destroyed. As soon as he finished speaking, his entire body changed rapidly. He was originally tall and big, but after the drastic change, he was already tall and big. His entire body turned into a terrifying demonic beast, displaying the heavenly demon body. Sky Fae were 10th order Fae beasts that surpassed 9th order Fae beasts. 10th order Fae beasts were extremely powerful, and even martial god experts had to flee far away. Amongst the war gods, no one could kill a heaven Fae unless it was a true god almighty. He did not expect that Wu Dao had actually cultivated the heavenly demon body. No wonder he had been sweeping away the various martial god powerhouses. After using the heavenly demon body, his defense and power would double. A strange demon beast that was 100 meters tall appeared in the eyes of all the experts. Its body was filled with destructive demonic qi. After Wu Dao transformed into a heavenly demon, a 20-meter-long pitch-black weapon appeared in his hand. The weapon emitted a destructive power and aura, and it looked extremely terrifying. It gave people a visual impact. Not to mention a big battle. Just this size and aura were enough to make the hearts of martial saints tremble. I see. I already knew that you were a demon cultivator. Is the heavenly demon body very powerful? Li Lingshan's voice rang out once again. As soon as he finished speaking, he appeared in the air. However, at this moment, a pair of crystal-clear wings sprouted from Li Lingshan's shoulders. The wings carried traces of electric arcs as the electric arcs flickered. It was a stunning sight. Floating in the air, its translucent wings were 10 meters wide. It flapped gently, but every time it flapped, there would be traces of electric arcs in the air, accompanied by muffled thunder. There could only be one word to describe his appearance: domineering. Li Lingshan's appearance put all the powerhouses at ease. Apart from a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, Li Lingtian was completely unscathed. Moreover, he was in a good state of mind. He looked calm and relaxed, and a confident smile overflowed from the corner of his mouth. Boom! Wu Dao was even more shocked when he saw Li Lingtian. He was already shocked to find out that Li Lingtian was still alive. Now that Li Lingtian had appeared without any injuries, he almost went crazy. The pitch-black weapon in his hand was hurled toward Li Lingtian with pure strength. However, the appearance of this power caused space to shatter. Wherever the weapon passed, the space would be pierced through. In the blink of an eye, it was already in front of Li Lingtian. With a loud explosion, the weapon struck Li Lingshan's body. Ah! All the experts exclaimed at this moment, their eyes filled with horror. Even Wu Dao was confused. That was because the weapon had struck Li Lingshan's body with great force. Li Lingshan's body was instantly blasted apart and his entire body vanished into nothingness. Everyone who saw what happened in the sky was stunned. They never thought that the outcome would be like this. However, at this moment, a bolt of lightning appeared in the sky, followed by an electric arc that struck Wu Dao fiercely. Li Lingtian, who had been destroyed in the eyes of all the powerhouses, appeared in the sky above Pathless. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and a destructive electric arc shot out from his wings, striking towards Wu Dao. Hush ha! Boom! The powerhouses from Liberty Holy City were shocked. Li Lingtian was clearly destroyed, but he was still in the air unscathed. Moreover, he was attacking Pathless as if he had been prepared beforehand. This was completely a great battle strategy that flowed like water. With a loud explosion, the terrifying electric arc struck Wu Dao's body. Suddenly, Wu Dao's terrifying heavenly demon body emitted a charred smell. Electric arcs flashed all over his huge body. It was obvious that it was the residual force after being hit by the electric arcs. Moreover, he was temporarily imprisoned. Speed, in front of my thunderclap wings, it's just turtle speed. So what if you have the body of a heavenly demon? You can only count yourself unlucky to have encountered me. Li Lingshan's smile remained on his face, but his figure had mysteriously vanished into thin air. He had completely disappeared, as if he had never appeared. Not even a trace of aura or spatial fluctuation could be seen. Seeing this, everyone including Wu Dao understood. Li Lingtian was blasted into nothingness. It was just a shadow, a residual shadow in the face of the extremely strange speed. Now that Li Lingtian had disappeared, he was completely relying on the thunderclap wings to control the space. His entire body was hidden in the air without any aura or spatial fluctuations. Encountering such a situation, no matter how powerful an expert was, they could only be unlucky. After all, with Li Lingshan's body movement technique, he already had a lot of control over space. A powerhouse who could control space was a true powerhouse. Li Lingtian also understood that Wu Dao's heavenly demon body was so powerful that even electric arcs could not harm him. The terrifying defense was basically invincible. Moreover, the attack was terrifying. He was not a match at all. He could only rely on speed. He had no choice but to hide in the air and think of a way. At first, he wanted to hide and use his ultimate move, but when he saw the experts of Liberty Sacred City falling continuously, he could only come out first. After all,
The experts of Liberty Sacred City were his subordinates. If he came out late, all the experts of Liberty Sacred City would die. Heavenly Demon Body Space Destruction. Wu Dao's expression turned grave when he saw Li Lingtian disappear into the air. His divine perception continued to scan the area, but he still could not find any trace of Li Lingtian. He dared not delay any longer. If he was ambushed by Li Lingtian, he would be slowly worn down to death even if his defense was formidable. At the thought of this, his eyes emitted a blood-red light. His lantern-sized eyes emitted a blood-red light, making him look extremely terrifying. He stretched out his hands in the air, and the space immediately trembled. It was as if the space was about to explode from this terrifying demonic qi. Puchi! Li Lingtian could no longer hide from the pressure of the space. He spat out a mouthful of blood and appeared in the sky above Wu Dao. There was blood at the corner of his mouth and his face was extremely pale. The war god was indeed terrifying when he trained as a monster cultivator. At first, he thought that he could fight against the martial god after becoming a martial saint, but now he realized that he was thinking too much. The martial god was never someone that a martial saint could compare to. The thunderclap wings disappeared and returned to his body. Die! When Wu Dao saw that his space destruction had succeeded, the blood-red light in his eyes became even denser. With a loud roar, the weapon in his hand was hurled toward Li Lingtian at an incredible speed. True Dragon Body Protection. Heavenly Sword Body. 5 Elements Sacred Body. Dominating Divine Fist. Li Lingtian's heart trembled when he saw the pure destructive power. It was too late to use other treasures now. Immediately, the true Dragon Body Protection was unleashed to the extreme. The Heavenly Sword Body and the 5 Elements Sacred Body also circulated. With a wave of his hand, an attack that could destroy the world was unleashed. He wanted to rely on one attack and several defenses to block this attack. At the same time, he activated the Limitless Feather Coat, hoping to avoid this destructive attack. As long as he could block this move, he could take advantage of the time when Wu Dao's old strength had already been exhausted and his new strength had yet to be born to use his big move. In the air, the pitch-black weapon was hurled toward Li Lingtian with destructive force. Li Lingtian's dominating divine fist was also a heaven-grade superpower. It was extremely powerful and the space around it shook when he punched out. Rumble! The two attacks collided. The attack from the dominating divine fist was reduced to nothingness and disappeared into the air. The pitch-black weapon struck Li Lingtian's body ruthlessly. After a dull thud, Li Lingtian's body was thrown out as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Water Dao Intent. Icebound 10,000 Mile. Li Lingtian was shocked as Weila's second attack had arrived after his first attack. He did not have the strength to resist at all. Feeling anxious, he used the will of the Great Path of Water. The will of the Great Path of Water mutated and froze thousands of miles. A wave of ice power exploded in front of him. Walala the space was frozen. Wu Dao's attack and body were also temporarily sealed. Heavenly Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber. Tyrant Blade Art. Nirvana Wind Cloud Break. The appearance of Icebound 10,000 Mile froze everything. Wu Dao was stunned, and the glacier was quickly destroyed. However, this brief moment was more than enough for a powerhouse like Li Lingtian. It was enough for him to take a breather. In a battle between experts, victory and defeat could be achieved in an instant. Icebound 10,000 Miles froze Pathless' attack and speed, giving him a chance. At this moment, his body was also stable in the air, and his eyes revealed a fatal opportunity. P.S. I recommend Higgins Sensei's historical work, The Beauty of Rivers and Mountains. Those who like history can go and take a look. Chapter 784. Demon King's Pearl, 1. At this point, he no longer had any scruples. If he had any more misgivings, he could only die. With a flick of his consciousness, the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber appeared in his hand. The pressure of an ancient divine weapon erupted in the air. The ultimate tyrannical Emperor Saber was a primordial divine weapon. Although Li Lingtian's current cultivation base was not able to unleash the full might of the primordial divine weapon, he was still able to exert some basic pressure. Space was constantly torn apart by the pressure. Even a martial god expert like Wu Dao was affected by the pressure of the ancient divine weapon. The glacier shattered into pieces, and the shocking pressure continued to suppress Wu Dao. At that moment, Li Lingtian did not hesitate as he made a magical gesture with one hand. Destructive saber intent erupted around him. He swung the heavenly extreme Tyrant Emperor saber in his hand, and the Tyrant saber art was displayed at this moment. The second move of the Tyrant blade art Nirvana Wind Cloud Break. In the sky, an aura of extermination appeared, and the wind and clouds surged. At this moment, it was as if the world had arrived at the end of the world. The power of the ancient divine weapon combined with the saint-tier divine power, Nirvana Wind Cloud Break, was shocking. Noon could see the change in Wu Dao's expression because he was now a sky demon. However, his eyes revealed a look of horror and fear. There were only a few inferior divine artifacts in the divine martial continent. There were no primordial divine artifacts. Naturally, they did not know that Li Lingshan's Empyrean Terminus Emperor Saber was a primordial divine artifact. However, this aura was enough to destroy any martial saint. Even if a martial god did not die, he would lose half his life. A tinge of regret welled up in her heart. She should not have provoked Li Lingtian. All the experts were even more unbearable. At this moment, they were all stunned, and their eyes were filled with shock. The space shook, but time seemed to have stopped. The wind and cloud pressed towards Wu Dao, surrounding him in the blink of an eye. Li Lingtian hovered in the air like a god of war, watching the changes in the space. The space was torn apart as the wind and clouds surged. Light and shadow cracks appeared, and all the cracks attacked Wu Dao. Nirvana was a silent killing and extreme stillness. However, at this moment, the surging wind and clouds formed a contrast with stillness. The fusion of the two extremes produced a terrifying destructive power. Bang! With a muffled sound, the wind and clouds in the space quieted down. Puff! At that moment, a mouthful of blood spurted out from the corner of Li Lingshan's mouth. At the same time, Pathless, who was in the midst of the storm, also spurted out a mouthful of blood. The wind and clouds disappeared, and Wu Dao's tall and terrifying body appeared in the air. There were destructive cracks all over his body, as if he was about to die. However, a mysterious bead appeared in Wu Dao's hand. The bead emitted a faint magical light that enveloped Wu Dao. A faint halo appeared on Li Lingtian's chest. The halo continued to corrode Li Lingtian. Everything that happened was extremely strange. None of the powerhouses could understand what was going on. Li Lingtian clearly had the upper hand, but he was still injured at the same time. However, Li Lingtian knew that the power of the Celestial Emperor Saber and Tyrant Saber art could severely injure Pathless even if it could not kill him. That was the truth. But he never expected that when Wu Dao was attacked by the Nirvana Wind Cloud Break, a magical pearl appeared. It was this pearl that allowed him to escape. At the same time, a beam of light from the pearl crossed the space and struck Li Lingtian. The terrifying and mysterious force injured Li Lingtian. "You want to kill me? You overestimate yourself." Wu Dao's voice was extremely cold. His eyes flashed with a blood-red light, and the blood-red light became stronger and stronger. The bead in his hand kept flashing with radiance as Wei's injuries rapidly healed. With just a few words, the destruction brought by Li Lingshan's Nirvana Wind Cloud Break disappeared. Although his injuries had not fully recovered, they had stabilized. Li Lingtian and all the powerhouses were shocked by the sight. They never expected such a magical treasure to exist in this world. Demon King's Pearl. Li Lingtian was shocked as a terrifying treasure appeared in his mind. It was a magical treasure. It was a treasure of the demon race. This treasure was the life source inner core that the big ancient demon had left behind. The life source inner core had transformed into the Demon King's Pearl. Only those who had reached the level of a great demon could turn it into a Demon King's Pearl. This Demon King's Pearl was useless to other experts, but it had heaven-defying benefits for demon beasts. This Demon King's Pearl was like the divinity of an expert. After obtaining this Demon King's Pearl, he could quickly increase his cultivation and quickly recover from his injuries. Moreover, he could even become a great demon after fusing with it. Similarly, this Demon King's Pearl had a destructive attack on races other than the demon race. Your knowledge is not bad. This is the Demon King's Pearl. Wu Dao's eyes gradually became cruel, and the aura around his body changed strangely. He also became irritable. As soon as the voice was heard, the tall figure charged toward Li Lingtian. The Demon King's pearl had always been in his hand. This pearl was now his life-saving item, so he naturally could not leave his hand. Very powerful, right? Then let's try this. Li Lingtian's face was stunned for a moment before a crazed look appeared on his face. Immediately, he circulated his Zhan Yuan and a strange and mysterious aura of destruction appeared. The aura of destruction carried a mysterious power. This power was divine qi. The destructive cyclone outside the divine martial hall was filled with divine energy. With that said, he moved his divine sense and a domineering long sword appeared in front of him. Divine Martial Profound Heaven Sword. That's right, it was the Divine Martial Black Heavenly Sword. When the Divine Martial Black Heavenly Sword appeared, a destructive aura erupted in the air. Although the Divine Martial Profound Heaven Sword was not necessarily as powerful as the Empyrean Terminus Emperor Saber, Li Lingtian had mastered it to the extreme. Furthermore, the Divine Martial Profound Heaven Sword carried divine qi, which was a terrifying nemesis for warriors. Only treasures that countered each other would deal the strongest blow to the opponent. Boom! The space suddenly exploded under the pressure of the Divine Black Heavenly Sword. Supreme Grade Divine Artifact. All the experts exclaimed when they saw the destructive pressure in the sky. Similarly, Wu Dao was equally shocked. He did not expect Li Lingtian to have another divine weapon in his possession. The Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber in the beginning was also a divine weapon. Now, this was another divine weapon. He could not tell the level of the two divine artifacts, but it was definitely not that simple. Moreover, the Heaven Extreme Tyrant Emperor Saber at the beginning was not simple either. This longsword was also a divine artifact, so it was not simple either. More importantly, this divine artifact was not necessarily a peerless divine artifact. This was because in his heart, he kept feeling that this divine artifact was not a peerless divine artifact, but an existence that surpassed a peerless divine artifact. Indeed, all the experts were shocked by the might of the Divine Martial Black Heavenly Sword. They had never seen such a pressure before. In their minds, they could only treat this Divine Martial Black Heavenly Sword as a peerless divine artifact. They would never think of a peerless ancient divine artifact. With such a heaven-defying peerless divine weapon, coupled with Li Lingtian's means, its power would definitely be astounding. Alright, this move should be the one that kills you and me. Demon Path of God Destruction. Wu Dao's face was filled with shock. He didn't think that dealing with a martial saint would actually draw out such a heaven-defying method. This battle was completely beyond his imagination. Some of the heaven-defying methods, treasures, and divine powers were not something he had seen before. Moreover, it was from a young martial saint. With Li Lingtian's current means, the pressure of a supreme divine weapon would definitely be enough to destroy the world. He was not confident at all. After saying that, he slapped the Demon King's pearl into his body, and the Demon King's pearl immediately entered his body. A shocking demonic power exploded out violently. The first level of the War God Realm was raised to the second level of the War God Realm at this moment. At this moment, the world trembled, and Liberty Sacred City began to shake. The billions of people in Liberty Sacred City felt as if the world was about to be destroyed. Wu Dao unleashed the full power of the Demon King's pearl as he swung the pitch-black weapon in his hand at Li Lingtian. Kacha! The space was torn apart by the weapon's destruction. A huge hole appeared in the air. The weapon ignored the distance between them and pierced through the air before arriving in front of Li Lingtian. Divine Martial Profound Heaven Sword Void Destruction. Li Lingtian's expression was extremely serious as well. The terrifying destructive aura made him tremble. The destructive aura in the Divine Martial Black Heavenly Sword carried a trace of divine energy. The fourth move of the heaven-destroying sword formation, Void Destruction, was displayed at this moment. Suddenly, a destructive sword light swept across the void, bringing along a destructive divine weapon sword light as it struck Wu Dao's attack. After unleashing void destruction, Li Lingtian's divine consciousness moved quickly and a huge pitch-black stone wall appeared in front of him. The freezing sky god altar appeared in front of him. The trillion-pound freezing sky god altar blocked his path. The limitless feather coat was activated again, and the true dragon body barrier was also used. At the beginning,
he fought with Wu Dao for a few moves. Although it was only a few simple battles, each time, it was a world-destroying battle. If it was any martial saint, he would have died hundreds of thousands of times. However, he had fought with Wu Dao several times and did not die, mostly because of the Wuji feather coat. The limitless feather coat, coupled with the true dragon body protection and various heaven-defying physiques, blocked Wu Dao's destructive attack. Now that he had the chance to use the freezing sky altar to block the destructive attack, he felt a little more at ease. However, Wu Dao's strength still made his heart tremble. The terrifying demonic power and the mysterious destructive divine Qi sword light. The space trembled in front of the two attacks, and it was already extremely damaged. Li Lingtian hovered in the air. This was the final blow. Either he fell or his opponent was defeated. Kacha! Kacha! The pitch-black blade and destructive sword light shuttled through the air. The space kept exploding and tearing apart like a mirror. It seemed like a long time had passed, but all of this happened in an instant. Time seemed to have stopped. All the experts stared at the destructive attack in the air as their hearts trembled. This attack would determine the outcome of the battle. Some martial saints and martial emperors with powerful cultivation quickly raised their defense to the limit and did not dare to be careless at all. Chapter 785. The Martial God Fallen. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded as the sword light and the pitch-black weapon finally collided. The destructive demonic power and the divine sword light clashed like waves. A martial god powerhouse's display of the heavenly demon body was earth-shattering. Even an ordinary martial god would be killed by the power unleashed. Li Lingtian was only a martial saint powerhouse. However, Li Lingtian was controlling an ancient divine artifact and he was using a saint-level divine ability like void destruction. With a terrifying explosion, a destructive aura swept through the entire space. At once, Li Lingtian and Wu Dao disappeared into the destructive aura. The destructive aura swept through the void. Wherever it passed, countless experts died. The space trembled and finally shattered. This destructive aura swept across the entire world, as if the end of the world had arrived. The divine martial black heavenly sword clashed with the martial god's ultimate skill, and the outcome was unknown. So, with a slight sound of the wind, the space slowly quieted down. Liberty Sacred City stood tall in the sky, but all the mountains in front of Liberty Sacred City had been razed to the ground. All the powerhouses looked up into the sky, eager to know who would emerge victorious in the end between Li Lingtian and Wu Dao. The outcome was what Liberty Sacred City cared most about. Li Lingtian was seen floating in the air as the divine martial black heaven sword in his hand trembled and he spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth, and his face was extremely pale. The attack just now was the most powerful attack, but it also consumed a lot of divine qi. Although the primordial divine weapon was heaven-defying, it had not been fully unleashed. Moreover, the other party was an abnormal martial god expert. He was many times stronger than an ordinary martial god expert. Not dying was already heaven-defying to the extreme. His eyes slowly shifted forward. When he saw the situation in front of him, Li Lingtian's expression relaxed slightly. Because Wu Dao's voice disappeared, he returned to his original form. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, and his entire body was covered in blood. He had completely become a bloody man. His life force was also rapidly disappearing. The pitch-black weapon in his hand had turned into an ordinary weapon. A pearl floated in the air and continuously emitted a mysterious light. However, the Demon King's Pearl was no longer useful. Although the Demon King's Pearl was heaven-defying, Pathless vitality was slowly disappearing. He could not live at all. Moreover, Wu Dao's body began to slowly disappear and finally turned into nothingness. His eyes were extremely calm. All the experts were stunned by what they saw. The expression on his face immediately turned into excitement and madness. This was because Liberty Sacred City's greatest enemy, the martial god powerhouse, had failed. Li Lingtian had just broken through to the martial saint realm and defeated the omnipotent powerhouse. The martial god expert, Wu Dao, had fallen. Li Lingtian was another powerhouse born in Shenzhou. Li Lingtian had become a level 8 divine alchemist, a martial saint,
a martial saint, a martial god, and a powerhouse in the Black Continent. In the air, the Demon King's pearl slowly dropped to the ground. A pitch-black weapon and a ring also dropped to the ground. Li Lingtian waved his hand and grabbed the items in the air. At this moment, all the experts in the army finally reacted. Young Master, Young Master. Young Master D, Young Master D. All the troops and experts knelt down in unison. Instantly, the commotion shook the sky and the entire Liberty Sacred City cheered. Li Lingtian looked pleased as he watched the tens of millions of troops and the powerhouses from Liberty Sacred City below. He waved his hand and all the troops and powerhouses stood up and quieted down. Not bad, not bad. Since the world is disrespectful to me, then I will sweep this world. I hereby announce that the three armies will be reorganized and swept across the world. I will make the world tremble before the Freedom King dynasty. Li Lingtian spoke softly. His voice was not loud, but it was heard by all the powerhouses. Instantly, all the experts in the army were extremely excited. Even though they knew that Li Lingtian would dominate the world if he did not perish after coming out of seclusion, things were different now that Li Lingtian had said it himself. Sweep the world. Sweep the world. The three armies were shaken, the experts of Liberty Sacred City cheered, and the billions of people were completely boiling at this moment. Li Lingtian was already a heaven-defying existence, and he had even become a level 8 divine alchemist. When he broke through, he triggered a mysterious and destructive heavenly tribulation. A heavenly omen appeared. After he reached the martial saint realm, he stabilized his realm for a short period of time and defeated all the experts. In the end, he even defeated and killed the martial god expert. Moreover, Wu Dao was no ordinary martial god powerhouse. Even such a terrifying existence was defeated by Li Lingtian. Although Li Lingtian was a heaven-defying existence in the past, there were still countless powerhouses in the divine martial continent, such as the heaven-defying martial saints and martial gods. Li Lingtian was no match for them. Now that Li Lingtian had killed the martial god, his identity and strength had elevated Li Lingtian's reputation to another level. Soon after, Li Lingtian returned to the top of the city wall and brought Tang Qingyue and the others back to the imperial palace. Someone else would take care of the matters here. Moreover, he had been injured in the battle with the martial god this time. If he did not recuperate, there would definitely be repercussions. Moreover, the experience gained from fighting the martial god was hard to come by. He had to properly comprehend it so that he wouldn't be so flustered when he encountered the martial god again in the future. When Li Lingtian and the rest returned to the palace, all the powerhouses and the army worshipped them. Upon returning to the palace, Li Lingtian spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was ghastly pale. Lingtian, how are you? Tang Genji quickly supported Li Lingtian with a concerned look on her face. Others might not know about Li Lingtian's condition, but they knew that even though Li Lingtian had killed the martial god, he had also been injured. Moreover, his injuries were not light. I'm fine. My mind was shaken. Also, that Demon King's pearl in Wu Dao's hand injured me. Now, I have to use my true dragon chi to refine the heavenly demon power in the Demon King's pearl. Li Lingtian shook his head and quickly made his way to the practice room. He hadn't expected to encounter a powerhouse like Wu Dao this time. Although he suspected that a martial god had come, he hadn't expected it to be true. Fortunately, he managed to get rid of Wu Dao in the end, and he had a better understanding of martial god powerhouses. No matter how powerful the power of the Demon King's pearl was, it was no match for the power of the true dragon. When he started fighting with the martial god, he did not have the chance to use any other cultivation techniques. Naturally, he did not have the chance to use the true dragon body barrier to heal his injuries. In a great battle with an expert, victory and death could be decided in the blink of an eye. He had been heavily injured several times, but he had been blocked by his powerful physique. Although he was injured, it was already heaven-defying for him to be able to do this in front of the martial god. Moreover, the martial god expert had fallen. He had been holding it in outside, not daring to show his injured appearance, because he could vaguely feel a pair of eyes watching him, but they did not attack him. A martial god's Pathless had almost caused him to die. After killing Pathless, all the true essence in his body was exhausted, and his divine sense and energy were exhausted. He simply did not have the qualifications to fight with another expert. Now that he had returned to the Imperial Palace, there was a powerful array that isolated the outside world. No matter how powerful the experts outside were, they could not see the situation inside. Naturally, they did not know that he was seriously injured. Li Lingtian returned to the Imperial Palace to recuperate while the powerhouses from Liberty Sacred City began to reorganize their army. The rest of the tens of millions of troops returned to their respective countries. Liberty Sacred City also began to recover rapidly. Outside Liberty Sacred City, countless experts also began to recover the aura of space. Some array masters also joined in. Only array masters' array formations could better restore space. This time, the battle in Liberty Sacred City shook the world. Tens of millions of troops from the four kingdoms and tens of thousands of experts from the other kingdoms surrounded Liberty Sacred City. The strongest in Liberty Holy City was only at the sixth sky of the Martial Saint realm. Regardless of their numbers or strength, they were not a match for the four kingdoms and tens of thousands of experts. In this great battle, more than half of the army and experts were destroyed at the beginning of the battle. The array masters of Liberty Sacred City had used a heaven-defying destruction array, destroying millions of troops and countless experts. In the end, it attracted the wrath of the heavens, but this wrath was blocked, and it destroyed the four kingdoms and countless experts. Before the war truly began, more than half of the armies and experts of the four kingdoms had been destroyed. When the battle began, the 10 martial saints of the Mystic Moon Empire and the first martial saint of the Great Shang Kingdom appeared and lured away the 2 fake martial gods. The remaining powerhouses joined forces to cast the 3 talents formation but were destroyed by Li Lingshan's wife. Li Lingtian appeared in a heaven-defying manner. He killed the fake martial god in seconds and battled the martial god Pathless. It was a battle of life and death. Every move was devastating. In the end, even the martial god expert was killed. Liberty Holy City's reputation was instantly spread far and wide. Li Lingtian was also regarded as the greatest threat in the Mystic Moon Empire. At the same time, Li Lingtian was hailed by countless powerhouses as the strongest powerhouse below the martial god. He was a heaven-defying monster who could compete with the martial god. Li Lingtian was the #1 divine alchemist in the Xian continent, and the person most likely to become a martial god powerhouse in the Xian continent. Among the kingdoms under the Mystic Moon Empire, Li Lingtian and the Free and Unfettered dynasty were undoubtedly the most terrifying. They were even more terrifying than the North Jin Kingdom. 10 days after the battle in Liberty Holy City sent out an invitation, inviting the experts of the world and the higher-ups of the various kingdoms to participate in the Holy Alchemy Masters Canon. The news of Li Lingshan's actualization as a level 8 Super Saint Alchemist had spread throughout the entire Mystic Moon Empire. Even the kingdoms surrounding the other 2 empires had received invitations. The Grade 8 Spirit Concentration Pill was a peerless existence. There was also the mysterious and powerful Reincarnation Pill, all of which came from Li Lingtian. Those who received this invitation were all panicking and uneasy for a moment. Li Lingtian had proven his Tao as a level 8 divine alchemist, became a martial saint, killed a martial god, and battled against all the powerhouses in the world. The force was unstoppable. Moreover, powerhouses from various kingdoms had participated in the operation to kill Li Lingtian. If they went, their lives would be uncertain. If they did not go, they would be guilty. However, the core members of the 4 kingdoms and Great Shang Kingdom chose not to go. Only some powerhouses who wanted to curry favor with Li Lingtian rushed to Liberty Sacred City upon receiving the invitation. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.